These trucks are packed with options, including crew cab and four-wheel drive. And don't forget, trades are still bringing top dollar. Even if you don't buy from us, we will still pay you cash on the spot for your trade. Visit us at Kansas City's only automotive outlet mall, the Legends Auto Plaza, on the southeast corner of 435 and Parallel, just east of Nebraska Furniture Mart, or online at victorymotorskc.com, where our first price is better than their last.
What QC Kinetics is doing for people here is nothing short of amazing. I'm talking real lasting relief from joint pain. This is Stephen St. John for QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in exciting new pain treatments with advanced regenerative medicine, non-surgical alternatives. If you're living with joint pain from injury or arthritis, don't let them tell you steroids and pain meds and surgery are your only options. QC Kinetics uses regenerative treatments that can restore and repair damaged tissue. Maybe you've been diagnosed with bone-on-bone arthritis and been told you need a replacement. Call QC Kinetics now for an alternative way to deal with the pain. These amazing protocols work with pain caused by injury as well, like a torn meniscus or rotator cuff. Learn how regenerative medicine can give you your life back with no drugs and no surgery. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. Located on 435 in State Line and in Gladstone, 816-412-6299. QC Kinetics.
Hey, Johnny, $20 Mahomes throws more touchdowns than Brady this week.
Ha! That's easy money for me. You're on.
Ready to take your friends' money? Then download the Lucra Sports app right now. Lucra is the hottest new thing in online sports contests because with Lucra, you set the terms. That's right. No house, no bookies, and no sharks taking your money. Just one-on-one action with your friends. Fast, easy, and fun. Set custom contests against your buddies or anyone else in the Lucra community. You can even mix sports. Want to put up touchdowns against home runs or hat tricks against three-pointers? No problem. You pick the terms and post the
30
contest.
seconds,
With Lucra, you can take your smack talking to a whole new level and then put your money where your mouth is. And you can use the free Lucra Sports app no matter where you live. So download Lucra now. That's Lucra. Use promo code PLAYER and they'll put $20 right into your account to get you started. Download the free Lucra app now and use promo code PLAYER for $20 free. That's code PLAYER.
Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for 2 decades. Track Talk, brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Scott Traylor. He's Kirk Elliott. We are the Racing Boys. Got Blake back at Sports Radio 810 WHB, spinning the dials. We got Todd and Austin here working at Racing Boys HQ. The full crew in place. Got a lot to talk about, a lot to listen to today. A lot of racing action going on right now around this area. Last night, the World of Outlaw late models were racing at Humboldt Speedway, and we're going to talk about that. We have some sound from last night as well. Plus, we have some samples of the interviews that we did during the week on Mostly Motorsports. We've got Blake Hahn, Steve Post, Lance Deweese, and got plenty of people to talk about today. Kirk, how you doing?
I'm not doing too bad. Lance Deweese, he's a big player tonight out at Williams Grove Speedway. Big race.
Yeah.
$75,000 to win.
The all-time winningest driver.
Yeah.
Out at Williams Grove. So it's good to hear from Lance Deweese. We'll listen to that sound a little bit later in the show. So last night, Kirk, did you get a chance to watch that Chase Youngins pick up that win down there at Humboldt?
I did. What a big win for him. Kind of a home state victory. He's from Kansas, and he's somewhat familiar with Humboldt Speedway, although it's been some years since he has raced there. He grew up there, basically. Talked about being there as a little kid. And, not a lot of those guys that were there last night had even seen Humboldt Speedway before. Ryan Gustin was one. He'd been there before, but boy, he made it pay off last night. Started up front, led the whole way. No yellow flags in that race. He got a little bit of a challenge from Dennis Herb Jr. there once, but then he was just able to pull away through traffic and It was a pretty easy win for Chase Youngans.
Chase Youngans had a lot of USMTS experience down there, didn't he?
Yeah, so he'd been around that racetrack before, so I think that familiarity really helped him out last night. Been a while since he had won. He said that's the first time he's raced since Knoxville. He was up at the Knoxville Late Model Nationals. He hadn't raced since then, but
that's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But he used to race on the World of Outlaw Late Model Tour on a pretty regular basis. He's got 4 career wins now. His most recent victory happened 3 years ago, so it'd been a while since he'd won a World of Outlaw late model win, even though he's done it before. But pretty impressive showing last night by the 18 car and Chase Youngans.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't know how that changes the points at all. We were talking about points yesterday, driver points. Right now, Dennis Erb it went up, Kirk.
98-point lead over 91 entering yesterday.
He's got a 110-point lead.
110-point lead.
110-point lead right now. So I think he was like 80-some points ahead, wasn't it, yesterday when we looked at it?
91.
91.
Heading into yesterday.
91. So now he's 110 points. Tanner English, where did Tanner finish last night, Kirk?
He finished
8th.
8th.
Started 14th, and it ended up running 8th in the 81E car. He is currently 2nd in the World of Outlaw points, and so he lost a little ground last night.
You know, the guy who put on the big show last night was Mike Marlar, our good buddy. Started 17th and ended up 4th in last night's feature event. He just missed the transfer out of his heat race, so he had to run the B main, which he won. He won the second of 2 last chance qualifiers, as they called it. So 17th to 4th for Mike Marlar. Good run for him.
And last night, Dennis Erb Jr. was the fast qualifier, ran a 14:43 with a 3. So, you know, he was my pick to win last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, well, he's going to be more concerned about points racing than he is winning.
No such thing.
I don't think he's that kind of a driver, though. I think he goes to win wherever he's at.
You thought he was that kind of driver yesterday, but not today, after watching him race last night. So Dennis Erb Jr. ended up running 2nd. Max Blair was 3rd. And as Kirk alluded to, Mike Muller ended up finishing 4th. And Tyler Bruning was the 5th and final car in the top 5.
Our Ryan Ragland was down there last night covering the event. He got some sound from some of these drivers. You want to hear it right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go with Chase Youngans, the feature winner from last night. Here's Ryan's interview with him.
Talking with Chase Youngans, winner at Humboldt, and I think the most important move that you did today was drawing that number 1 pill. That was huge.
Hell, I didn't even draw it. I got leftovers, so.
So I guess you did.
I was 4th heat winner, so I got whatever was left in the bucket. But no, it was definitely good. Our car was good tonight too, but it seemed like they're late in the race, kind of got one lane and stuff like that. But we were able to get the jump on Clanton, and I could maneuver when I needed to, and the car was good, so. Do it again.
Probably the biggest move is when you got by Boone Briggs and that put 2 cars between you and Dennis Erb.
Yeah, I thought that was 100 laps racing him. I mean, we were back and forth. I'd gain everything on him in 1 and 2, and then I'd have to step out of line in 3 and 4, and it seemed like he'd just drive right back off. But I was lucky enough to get 1 good lap and split him and get him in between me and 2nd place. So
yeah, he was trying. One time he tried going up a little bit high in that 2nd lane, and it just wouldn't hold enough. You'd get in 3 and 4 and try to run it up and get a little bit of momentum, and neither one was really working for you.
Yeah, the 3 and 4, the top just got so slick towards the end that couldn't really do much, and then I kind of just started blasting it off in there and banging the cushion and trying to diamond down the hill, and that was decent, but I was just trying not to slide around and burn tires up. So
pretty good momentum going into Wichita, another track you know pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, we've run good there too before, so hopefully we can carry it over. A lot of good iron here, so just got to put our heads down and keep on working on it.
How huge is this to have the World of Outlaws at Humboldt and 81 and maybe hopefully try to make this a regular deal?
Oh, it's definitely cool. I've been telling them since I was running with, like, hey, we need to have like a 4-race swing out here in the Midwest, and they did it a couple years ago and no one showed up. And I was like, man, I feel like an idiot, but luckily this weekend there's decent amount of cars, and I think they'll have good turnouts every night. So the weather's beautiful and for this time of year, so we'll just put her in the box, drink a couple cold ones, and try again tomorrow.
All right, congratulations. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, appreciate it.
There he is, Chase Younghans. 38 cars last night. Good crowd on hand down at Humboldt. The weather really cooperated this weekend. Normally it gets kind of cold this time of the year, but you can't beat the weather.
Yeah, weather's excellent. It's going to be great tonight. And they're racing tonight at 81 Speedway in Wichita. And then tomorrow night, I want to encourage everybody to go up to US 36 Raceway in Osborne, Missouri. It's only about I live in north of the river. It only takes me about 40 minutes to get up there to the racetrack. This is going to be a fantastic show. John Bowler, the guy that promotes US 36 Raceway, is just a great guy, and he needs your support tomorrow. So get up there to US 36 Raceway in Osborne, Missouri. You just take I-35 north. When you get to 36 Highway, you go left, and you go about 5 or 6 miles, and there's the racetrack right on the right-hand side. You can't miss it. High Bank Racetrack, one of the best racetracks around the Midwest, in my opinion, when it comes to racing. Kirk, it's going to be a great show up there on Sunday.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. That High Bank Racetrack up there at US 36 Raceway, I can't wait to get up there.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, no doubt about it. And not to say that Wichita won't be good, but and it's going to be the first time for the World of Outlaws to be at Wichita with the new wall around there as well. So I'm going to be interested to see how they maneuver that racetrack because, you know, the way that people raced the track before it had a wall around it was totally different than the way they race that racetrack now.
Yeah, and the way Johnny Allen and his crew have been prepping that racetrack down there at 81, we've seen some fantastic modified racing down there, so I expect a great show down there tonight. We've got some quick sound here from our other top 3 finishers last night. Dennis Erb Jr., a second-place finish.
Good run through 1 and 2 and was able to close there. I mean, he had a good speed through 3 and 4. That's what was hurting it there. But then when we got in the lap traffic, I mean, the cars moved around. He got through a couple, and we kind of got pinned in there. So, I mean, had a good car and, happy with the second.
Yeah, well, he's got to be happy because he expanded that point lead, and we're getting right down to it right now.
And we had Dennis Erb on Mostly Motorsports this week.
That's right. Had him on yesterday.
Yeah, so it was good.
Max Blair finished in 3rd place last night, talks about his run.
Oh, I think we really had a car that was capable of racing for the win. Fortunately, some lap traffic kind of moved down in front of us there, and it made it just impossible to go any farther. But, I mean, that's just part of racing. It is what it is, but it just kind of took our chance away. And but, no, I'm happy. Get this little momentum rolling into tomorrow.
Max Blair, thanks for Ryan Ragland for being there last night, grabbing that sound. He'll be down at 81 Speedway tonight.
Max Blair is always in the middle of it.
Yeah.
The 111V car, every time that you watch one of these World of Outlaw races, you got to watch Max Blair. He's always up there around the top 5, and he did it again last night with the 3rd place finish.
He's 3rd in points right now.
Yeah, right. I picked Dennis Erb Jr. to win last night, but Chase Young is starting on the front row. And he talked about the racetrack conditions last night, Kirk. What were the conditions like last night? Because he said it was pretty one-laned last night. Did you feel it was that way?
Well, in some spots of the racetrack, but not all of it. It was just different. Some of the guys were going high in 1 and 2 and then keeping it low in 3 and 4. Shall I say, use the word tricky? A lot of drivers use that. It was in a lot of ways. It wasn't consistently the same all the way around the racetrack, different in some spots than others. So it was a real challenge for these guys last night. I wouldn't call it a one-groove racetrack, anything like that.
I'm just going by what the winner said.
Maybe turned out to be that way there towards the end. But
I'm just saying I'm just repeating what the winner said. So, did you watch any of that race last night, Austin? Did you watch any of the late model race?
I watched the qualifying and heat races, and then I went and watched Trophy Cup. But watching the replay of it from the feature reminds me a lot when they had the sprint car races there a couple of years ago. The way one end was better on the top and one end was better on the bottom, and I mean it had something to lean on.
Which end was better? 1 and 2 or 3 and 4?
I think 1 and 2 is better on the bottom, and it was maybe a little equal in 3 and 4, but I didn't really know what to expect coming into this. How he would race, and people compared it to Illinois tracks. I think it might have raced, maybe a little bit better than some places over there, just with the size of it and the way how wide Humboldt is. I kept thinking it was a lot narrower than what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a pretty racy track. I like Humboldt.
Yeah, no doubt. I like Humboldt too.
And 81, I think it's going to be a great show tonight.
Yeah, I do too. All right, let's. We got enough time. Let's talk a little bit about Trophy Cup last night. It looked like Tanner Holmes was on his way to victory last night, the 18T car, but Tyler Courtney just kept on stalking him, and finally wore him down to a nub, and then finally got around him late in the race. Your thoughts about that race last night? Tyler Courtney driving the 57W car, one of the Finley Farm cars. What'd you think about that race there, Austin?
I don't think you're right about him wearing him down to a nub. Tanner Holmes should have won that race if the yellow doesn't come out 100 feet, 100 yards from the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
Tanner actually, Tanner can he's improved a lot over the maybe last year or 2 years. He went out to the Midwest for a while in 2020 and ran with ASCS and some 410 stuff and ran some All-Star stuff last year, and he spent pretty much all of this year back home and on the West Coast, and he's been really fast and won some races, and I didn't really know what he would do starting up on the front row like that or up towards the front, and I'm not surprised that he ran that good, but a little bit surprised in a fact, but he actually, I was really impressed with him, and it just it was unfortunate that that race got taken away from him like that on with what 100 yards to go to the finish, but I wouldn't be too disappointed in running second to somebody like Tyler Courtney and outrunning him 24 to 25 laps.
Well, that's just the break of racing, just so you know, right? You've been there, you've done it. Just because a late caution comes out and you think you got the race won doesn't mean you have the race won. And I think Tyler Courtney kind of snookered him there at the end of the race a little bit myself. That's my opinion. Tyler Courtney got around Tyler Holmes. Corey Day ended up running third. He was the final podium finisher last night. What did you think of that race, Kirk?
Yeah, it was an interesting race, with Tyler Courtney in that 57 car. I agree with Alston. He was really fortunate to be able to take advantage of that yellow there at that late situation there. It was Tanner Holmes' race to win. He just didn't get it done.
Justin Sanders was the guy that was going to win that race, I thought, at one point during the race. Because
got upside down, didn't he?
2 nights in a row. He got upside down night number 1, and he got upside down night number 2. So Justin Sanders needs to start saving up some money for some top wings, as we know it last night. And our current Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour point leader, Blake Hahn, he must have pulled off last night. Did he pull off early in that race last night, Austin?
I missed that part of the race.
Finished 23rd.
He finished 23rd. He obviously pulled off. DJ Neto did not start. So I've got a feeling that Blake probably didn't want to put the wear and tear on his equipment and probably pulled off the racetrack early. That's what I'm thinking. So anyway, tonight they're going to have the final night of Trophy Cup. You can watch it on The Cushion, thecushion.com. They do a great job over there at The Cushion with their broadcast. Our good friends Ian and Brian do a great job over there. So if you want to watch tonight's Trophy Cup, you can do so by watching it on thecushion.com. That's www.thecushion.com. And check them out. They do a great job with all their broadcasts. And they helped us for many years, didn't they?
Yes, they did. And, a lot of the proceeds from those pay-per-view proceeds go to the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Right. A portion of it does.
Portion of it.
Right.
I don't know how much, but anyway, they've been doing that. Cushion's been doing that for years out there, Tulare, California. So they'll do it again tonight. And the Trophy Cup, I'm trying to figure out these points out there right now. They on their Facebook page, they've got, but they don't have names. I see numbers. Who's the 94 car? That would be
Kyle Hurst.
That's Kyle Hurst. They've got him as number 1 in points. Looks like
I believe that. Kyle's been running up towards the front quite a bit.
Then it's a 57W. That would be Courtney in second. 17W in third. Who drives that? Is that Golubic?
Golubic.
Mm-hmm.
And Corey Day in the 14 is fourth. And the 5T, Ryan Timms, is fifth in points for the run to the overall Trophy Cup.
You think Ryan Timms would be a little further up in the points, wouldn't you, after picking up the win on the first night?
He didn't do anything really impressive last night, so
no. He didn't really.
You can't be a hero one night and be a 0 the next night and be number 1 overall.
Right. That's true. That's true.
So,
Austin McCarl was out there too as well.
Yeah, that's his second trip out there to California.
Yeah, he ended up running 14th last night.
Or was it Austin that went out there? Austin was out there at California when the Outlaws were out there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he drives for the Country Builders team, which is based out of, it's a California team. So even though he runs Knoxville weekly, they do go back home to California in the spring and in the fall.
Yeah, Justin Sanders ended up running 16th last night in the 2X car, so he started fourth. Not the run he was looking for last night, for sure.
And he hopes to keep it right side up tonight.
Yeah.
They got a lot of work to do. That team's got a lot of work to get ready for tonight.
Who are you picking to win the final night of Trophy Cup tonight? Who are you picking?
I've been saying Rico, but he's not done as well as I hoped that
Rico
he would.
did not have a good night last night.
No. So, he could still step up.
He had to come out of the B last night. Right.
He could still step up and win the finale tonight, but he's not going to win the overall Trophy Cup.
Mm-hmm.
He's out of that picture. So I'm going to say Tyler Courtney wins the overall Trophy Cup and Rico wins tonight. How about that?
You're sticking with Rico.
I'm sticking with Rico.
Oh, my gosh. I'm not sure about that. Rico, he's pretty fast around that racetrack, but I'm kind of like you. To be honest with you, I'm still stuck on Justin Sanders. I still think he has a chance to win this race. He's shown more speed in his car than just about anybody. Tyler Courtney, Tanner Holmes, or I don't know. I'm just thinking. I got to believe that Tyler Courtney's going to pick up the win.
Very well could.
Yeah.
Then he would be the overall Trophy Cup winner too.
No doubt.
If he pulls that off, which I think he's going to be anyway.
Were you a little surprised Rico had to run the B?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised about his whole performance this week so far.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got more sound. We've got sound from Blake Hahn, Steve Post, Lance DeWeese, and more right here on Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We'll be back with more right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB in a moment. Stay tuned.
Track Talk. As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinion, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
Neal has a seam. 10, 5, touchdown. Touchdown, Jayhawks.
Saturday, the Jayhawks face the Baylor Bears. Coverage begins at 9 on the home of the Jayhawks. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
5 receivers set wide open is Fairchild. A walk-in touchdown. Jason Bean to Mason Fairchild. Touchdown, Kansas.
Follow every game right here on the home of the Jayhawks. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Kansas City Comets season tickets are on sale now. The Comets are coming off a Central Division championship and are ready to once again battle for the MASL title. Sit in your favorite seat all winter long at Cable Dahmer Arena for the fast, furious, high-scoring action of Comets indoor soccer. Comets season ticket holders get VIP parking, an exclusive meet and greet with the team, and a discount on Comets merchandise. The Comets season kicks off November 26th, but you can get your Comets season tickets right now by calling 888-9-COMETS. That's 888-9-COMETS.
It's football season. Kansas City and Boulevard Brewing Company, along with Tanner's Bar and Grill, have you covered with a winning lineup, including fan favorites, unfiltered wheat beer, Space Camper IPA, and breakout star Quirk Hard Seltzer. Head to your local Tanner's Bar and Grill every Saturday this fall for superstar specials on Boulevard beers and beverages. The perfect teammates for rooting on your favorite college football teams all season long. Please enjoy responsibly.
Hey, this is the Fat Jack, and it's basketball season. Football's underway. The Breeders' Cup's around the corner. Are you ready to make some money? Go to FatJackSports.com, sign up today, and win betting the games against the spread. Football season has started off great. The first month was a killer for our clients, and basketball's going to be the same. Don't miss out on this profit over the next month. $99 this weekend for all the winners. That's $99 through Monday at FatJackSports.com. Get winning plays today at FatJackSports.com.
At Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia, you can buy with confidence with their 90-day money-back guarantee. New vehicles are arriving every day, including the upscale new Telluride and spacious Sorento. Plus, there's a large selection of fuel-efficient models like the new Forte, Sportage, and Soul, each with over 30 miles per gallon. With their inventory, plus the 90-day money-back guarantee, you'll get exactly what you need at Brogdon. Visit OlatheKia.com or come see them today at I-35 in Santa Fe.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm attorney Mike DePasquale. I played linebacker. I won a state championship. I played Division I ball. I know a thing or two about winning. A winning attitude starts with confidence. My law firm is so confident in what we do that if we take your injury case and we don't win, you don't pay us a dime. So if you've been hurt, call me. My team wants to win for you. I've got this.
Mike's got this. All you need to know. 816-888-7500. Mike's got this. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? If your check engine light is on, it may be affecting your MPGs, but the free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help. With the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes, you'll know what's affecting your gas mileage and more, and you don't have to drive too far to find the fix. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service is available at all 6,200 stores.
Get in the zone. AutoZone.
See details at AutoZone.com.
Nya, nya, nya.
1 minute, Pulse.
Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe. The broken Bunsen burner burns so bright. Southeast Asian Peninsula.
Hey, Jamie? Yes? I think the only line we need from you today is drivers who switch to Progressive could say big.
Cool. I just got to finish my warm-ups. Foul, throw in the towel. History.
Switch to Progressive today.
Send a ski slalom in a salmon skin suit.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
For those who believe some of the best memories are made in flip-flops, Pro-Built Pool and Patio salutes you. Summer may be in the rearview mirror, but we prefer to live it 24/7. As the largest in-ground fiberglass pool builder in the Midwest, Pro-Built Pool and Patio specializes in making your outdoor oasis come to life, no matter the season. For the best in backyard pools and spas, Pro-Built dials up the creativity with the perfect gift for yourself and your family. Call 816-786-3893 or visit us at ProBuiltPatio.com.
Hey, Johnny, $20 Mahomes throws more touchdowns than Brady this week.
Ha! That's easy money for me. You're on.
Ready to take your friends' money? Then download the Lucra Sports app right now. Lucra is the hottest new thing in online sports contests because with Lucra, you set the terms. That's right. No house, no bookies, and no sharks taking your money. Just one-on-one action with your friends. Fast, easy, and fun. Set custom contests against your buddies or anyone else in the Lucra community. You can even mix sports. Want to put up touchdowns against home runs or hat tricks against three-pointers? No problem. You pick the terms and post the contest. With Lucra, you can take your smack talking to a whole new level and then put your money where your mouth is. And you can use the free Lucra Sports app no matter where you live. So download Lucra now. That's Lucra. Use promo code PLAYER and they'll put $20 right into your account to get you started. Download the free Lucra app now and use promo code PLAYER for $20 free. That's code PLAYER.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Scott. He's Kirk. We're the Racing Boys. Want to welcome you back to the show. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. I can't thank Lucas Oil for being involved with the Racing Boys now for 12 years. It's been a pleasure to be involved with them for so long. Kirk, last night, they raced at BAPS, didn't they?
They did. I didn't get to see the video of that. I'm not sure who was doing live video of that
Gio
race.
Scelzi won that race.
He did.
Yeah.
410 racing last night. They had 27 cars there. Justin Peck finishes second, Ryan Smith third, Anthony Macri fourth, and Kyle Reinhardt, your top five. See, Casey Kane was racing down there last night, too.
He ran there as well. So, what about the National Open? It's going to take place tonight. Are you excited about that?
It's, in my mind, it's one of the three top sprint car races in the country. You got the Knoxville Nationals, the Kings Royal, and the National Open is the third of those crown jewels. This is how big this race is tonight. $75,000 to win, and it's going to be a great night of racing.
Let's kind of dissect it a little bit and kind of figure out who do we think is going to win. Let's start with Austin. Austin, who do you think is the favorite to win?
Lance Dewease.
It's got to be Lance Dewease, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's on a 4 or 5 race winning streak at Williams Grove.
He's won the last
He's the
4.
all-time winningest driver, I believe, there. He's won this race 4 times and then go for his 5th. He's with, Don Kreitz and Davey Brown, 2 of the best crew chiefs in the Pennsylvania area. And he's one of the best, sprint car drivers from Pennsylvania. So I think it's
hard to pick against
And he
him.
won the Friday night portion of his race 3 weeks ago now. So
that was a 10-lap feature.
Still won the thing. He was still up front. He had to qualify and get up there. So and he's been on that place and seen it all about seeing every different surface it can produce, different races it can produce, and we're kind of in for unexpected racing tonight, not having any races on the track leading up to this race since the Outlaws were there. So, and I think, Lance can use some of his experience and adapt and, overcome some of those challenges that might be thrown at him and win his 5th.
I don't think you want to count out Double D, Danny Dietrich, either. I think he'll be right in the middle of it as well. And, another guy, and I know that he's had more success over at Port Royal, but Anthony Macri, anytime Anthony Macri's there, you got to consider him one of the guys to beat, right? And another person that I've got to think about is Brent Marks. Brent Marks gets around Williams Grove really good, and you better consider him a player tonight.
Absolutely. When you talk about the big money races, Brent Marks has been there. He was even a factor at Knoxville. Remember the weekend at Eldora Speedway back in July when he won both the historical Big One and the Kings Royal in a matter of 3 days. So you put some big money on the line, Brent Marks is going to be a factor.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
As far as the Outlaws are concerned, I'm looking at David Gravel as being he and Carson Macedo both are going to be in the hunt.
So let's kind of take a look at the points with the World of Outlaws sprint cars, and does anybody feel like Brad Sweet's going to lose the championship?
No. He's got his 4th in a row.
He's only got a 54-point lead, Kirk.
Gravel's knocked a good chunk of that out since Port Royal.
Austin, don't you feel that David Gravel still has a chance?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It only takes one bad night, right?
It does, but I just don't see Sweet giving it up. As close as it's been, and David Gravel had a big night last Saturday night at Lakeside Speedway to tighten it up even further. He made the podium for the second straight night. I just think that Sweet will do whatever it takes to maintain whatever he needs to do to salt it away.
Austin, do you think that Brad Sweet's in protecting the championship mode right now, and he's just going to race close to Gravel and stay close to him and make sure that he wins this championship? What do you think?
He's not going to race close to Gravel. He's going to race to his full potential of his car each night.
Right.
If it's a 10th place, take a 10th place. Don't run 12th. Don't run 11th. You got a 5th place car, run 5th. Don't run 6th. Don't run 7th. You just got to maximize your equipment. You never know what can happen on the first lap of the National Open tonight. You can be like Brian Brown last year and go into turn 3 and spin out all by yourself and wipe out 4 or 5 good cars. And
that's true.
You got 33 gallons of fuel behind you. That's a lot of weight, and trying to get around Williams Grove in itself is tough. And you stick a little extra fuel in there, that's even tougher. And with the caliber or how big this race is, that adds a little pressure to it too. But yeah, I mean, if you never know what can happen to Brad tonight. Not wishing anything on him, but you can get caught up in a first lap crash or anything throughout the race or have a flat tire and you're done.
All right. Well, hey, last weekend the Winter Nationals took place down at Devil's Bowl Speedway with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour. Blake Hahn ended up winning that. He was a guest on Mostly Motorsports this week, Kurt.
He was, and he's out at the Trophy Cup this weekend there.
Not having such a great weekend.
Battling with the 84, 83 other entries that were there last night. But Blake Hahn had a great weekend. He swept the weekend out at the Winter Nationals at Devil's Bowl Speedway. He was a guest on Mostly Motorsports earlier this week, and here's a portion of that conversation. And
what QC Kinetics is doing for people here is nothing short of amazing.
What is that?
I'm talking real lasting relief from joint pain.
That's not me.
Not us.
Huh.
And we will get to Blake's interview here just a little bit.
All right.
We got to get some things.
Get it all queued up.
All queued up and ready to go. But it was a great conversation you had with Blake here earlier this week. So I think he's got this points championship pretty well salted away at this point.
I think he's got it wrapped up at this point.
2 nights at Creek County Speedway next weekend. And, okay, here we go. Here's the portion of that Blake Hahn interview from earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports.
You got that monkey off your back. You picked up that National Tour win. Let's start off by talking about Friday night. That was a pretty good win that you had there. You beat Roger Crockett, Matt Covington to the line. Talk about Friday night first. Let's get into that.
Well, it was a pretty good start to the weekend for us. We had a pretty good heat race run. Didn't qualify the fastest in our heat race, but we were able to pick up a spot, and that put us in the first couple rows of the A feature, and then they ended up inverting 6. So we were the lucky one to start on the pole that night. And at Devil's Bowl, anytime you can be out in clean air, it makes a big difference, and it helps out a ton. So we had a really good car. So I knew if we could just go out there and make some really good, consistent laps, we should be able to do it if we need to. So Dalton had the car really good in the heat race. So we didn't do a whole lot for the A feature, and just got a pretty good start. Went out there and just went to the top and got in a pretty good rhythm there. And the car was really good. It seemed like if I needed to go to the bottom, I was able to move around and go top and bottom on both sides. So the car was good. And after we picked up the win there Friday night, it gave us a little more confidence going into Saturday. And the championship here was pretty tight going into the weekend, and we knew how good Wayne is at Devil's Bowl, and we knew we had to be on top of it to be able to beat them. So we felt like we had a little bit of pressure going into the weekend, but when everything's rolling good, everything works out. It all plans out and works out.
It wasn't really a stellar weekend for Wayne Johnson. On Friday night, he ended up running 7th. That's exactly what you needed, right? You needed some space in between you. You needed to get a few cars in between you and Wayne Johnson for this championship, right?
Yeah, anytime we're running for a points championship, it seems like you find yourselves pretty close to each other. And luckily for us, Friday night, Wayne had to run a B feature, and he made it through and had to start towards the back of the A feature. And like I said, obviously we knew he had some really good speed there, and anytime we can be starting towards the front of the race and have that guy starting towards the back, it makes it a lot better for us.
Yeah. All right. So Saturday night, that was a thrilling race, to be honest with you. Chase Randall was out on. He was out quite a ways on you there towards the end of the race, but then the lap traffic got in the way a little bit, and you were able to run him down. Take us through your thoughts there in those final laps.
Really, we had good speed early in the night Saturday, and the track was quite a bit different from Friday. So we had to do a couple things different to the car for the A feature, and we really weren't the best early on in the A feature Saturday night, and we found ourselves in the 5th spot early on in the race. And, some early race contact between Scott and Covington put us in 3rd on a restart. And I felt like I was a little bit better than Sam, and I felt like I could get by him. But like you said, Chase was really good, and he was rolling the bottom really consistently and not making very many mistakes on the bottom. And we found ourselves in lap traffic about halfway through that race, and I noticed that Chase really wasn't wanting to move off the bottom if he didn't have to, and the top was there, but you really had to make sure you hit your marks to be able to get some good momentum going. So once I got by Sam and we had a couple other cautions towards the end of that race, it still seemed like Chase is really the dominant car of the race, and I went out there and just tried to make sure I hit my marks on the restarts, and I knew I had to be in some lap traffic to be able to get something really work there. And with 3 to go, we got towards the back of the field, and I really started rolling there. I started changing the way I was entering in turn 3, and I was able to make the exit of 4 a little bit better, and really picked up some speed the last few laps. And once he got to the back of the field, there was a couple of the guys running the bottom, and really put him in a bad situation where he didn't want to get off the bottom to the enter on top in 1 and 2, and he hasn't been up there in 3 and 4 the whole race. So with me knowing that, he made one little mistake off of turn 2 and got a little bit sideways, and it was able to give me just a little bit of a. And we had the top wide open and was able to go up there and make the move, and was able to get the white flag that time around. And in my head, once we got the white flag, I just told myself, just make sure we hit the marks in 1 and 2 and hit the top in 3 and 4, and it should be ours.
Were you a little surprised that the top was open for you when you went in there and you ripped the top in 3 and 4 to get the lead? Were you a little surprised that the top was open like that, or were you not surprised?
I wasn't expecting Chase to go up there. Like I said, I knew he was pretty much on the bottom the whole time. I was hoping none of the lap cars would go up there. I hadn't really been able to pay attention to what they were doing a whole lot. And, I just knew he wasn't going up there, and with 1 lap to go, I really didn't have a whole lot to lose. So it was one of those moments where we just had no option, just go up top and let her eat.
Yeah. When you size yourself, listen, everybody knows that Sam is probably one of the better 360 drivers in the country, right? You and Sam, and there's a few other guys that are really good, exceptional at running these 360 cars. When you felt like you were better than Sam, did you feel like you had a chance to win the race when you knew that you were a little bit better than Sam?
No, not necessarily, because, Chase was so dominant with the race. I felt like Chase was in a little ball game of his own there towards the beginning of the race. He had really good speed, and he was rotating the bottom really well, where it seems like me and Sam were a little tighter than Chase was, so it was a little harder for us to row the bottom once the moisture came back too. So, last year, the only reason I have so much confidence, last year we had really good speed at the end of the season when we were at Devil's Bowl, and the beginning of this year we had some really good speed. So, I felt really confident going into the weekend, but, I just wanted to be able to put our name on that list of winners there, and to go out there with such confidence, I feel like it makes a big difference.
Yeah. 147-point lead. What do you got to do to win the championship at the Fuzzy Fall Fling? What do you got to do there? Have you done the math yet and figured out what you got to do?
No, really, I feel like what we got to do is what we've been doing all season, just to go out there and be as consistent as possible. Obviously our goal every night is to win, but after that, it's to just be consistent. We want to pick up wins, but we also want to be able to pick up championships too. But, I think they fall hand in hand together, and, we've had really good speed this last half of the season, and, I feel like we just go out there and do what we've been doing thus far, and feel like we've had some good speed. And anytime we be able to go to Creek County, I feel like we've got a good chance to win a race. So the confidence is there. We know we look forward to going there every time we get a race there, and anytime it's a national race, it's fun.
Yeah. All right, that's my conversation I had with Blake Hahn. He's the current point leader with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour. He's got a 147-point lead over Wayne Johnson. I think he's just about got this championship wrapped up with the national tour. And when we come back, we're going to play another interview that I did with Lance Deweese. He is one of the very best in the business, the all-time winningest driver at Port Royal? No, at Williams Grove. So we'll listen to him when we come back. More of Track Talk when we continue here in just a moment. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We'll be back with more right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB in a moment. Stay tuned.
Track Talk.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
What QC Kinetics is doing for people here
How
is
much
nothing
time
short
are
of
we gonna have
amazing.
left when we
I'm
come
talking
back
real
out, right?
lasting relief from joint pain. This is Stephen St. John from QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in exciting new pain treatments with advanced regenerative medicine, non-surgical alternatives. If you're living with joint pain from injury or arthritis, don't let them tell you steroids and pain meds and
Blake.
surgery are your only option.
Yeah, one
QC Kinetics uses regenerative treatments that can restore and repair damaged tissue. Maybe you've been diagnosed with bone-on-bone arthritis and been told you need a replacement. Call QC Kinetics now for an alternative way to deal with the pain. These amazing protocols work with pain caused by injury as well, like a torn meniscus or rotator cuff. Learn how regenerative
try to be out by
medicine can give you your life back
so
with
we'll
no drugs
probably
and no
have
surgery.
about
Call QC Kinetics for a free
6 to 8
consultation.
minutes.
816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. Located on 435 in State Line and in Gladstone. 816-412-6299. QC Kinetics.
Did you guys
Ray
get that?
Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you have to drive 300 miles to your cousin's wedding. Okay, so it's his fourth. But you know what they say, fourth time's the charm. Well, here's the problem. Your tires are as bald as I am. But lucky for you, eBay Motors has tires for just about every make and model. Plus wheels, lug nuts, jack stands, and more. 122 million parts. Do they have tissues? Oh, good, because I'm definitely a crier. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Sunday, it's a Super Bowl 54 rematch when the Chiefs face the 49ers. We'll get you ready for the game beginning at 9 a.m. with the Central Bank of the Midwest pregame show with Seren Petro and Mark Borichter. Hear all the latest from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. You'll get predictions from our Chiefs insiders, and we'll bring you all the latest news from San Francisco before kickoff. Follow the Chiefs on your home for the NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You know what happens when you mess with a 125-year-old legend? You get Topo Chico Hard Seltzer. Inspired by the legendary taste of Topo Chico mineral water and crafted with unique flavors like strawberry guava, tangy lemon lime, tropical mango, and exotic pineapple for a crisp, refreshing finish. Topo Chico Hard Seltzer is a game changer. New Topo Chico Hard Seltzer. Legends never stop refreshing. TC Hard Seltzer Company, Tempe, Arizona, Auburndale, Florida. Celebrate responsibly.
One of the things I love about being back in the sports betting game is the player props and the game props. So many of them to choose from. And what's cool about FanDuel Sports is you can combine these props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. Whether you want to take the over on the rushing yards, whether you want to take the first half total, they are available to play however you want. Easy to register, easy to deposit, easy to find your bet, all at FanDuel Sports. There's no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay bet. So lock in your bet today at FanDuel Sports. Right now, new customers get up to $1,000 back in free bets if your first bet doesn't win with promo code PETRO. That's promo code PETRO, P-E-T-R-O. FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the National Football League.
21 plus and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Jeff Briggs with Victory Chrysler Dodge
60
Jeep Ram,
seconds.
home of the Victory Effect. Our pledge, draw down vehicle pricing for the city we love. Fall is quickly approaching. What a great time of year to be in Kansas City. Football is back, temperatures are cooling, and the Ram Power Day sales event kicks off. The manufacturer just announced aggressive new 2022 Ram 1500 incentives. To celebrate the new incentives, Victory at the Legends is bringing back the You Choose event. That's right, this month you get to choose from $6,500 off list price or $2,500 off list price plus 0% on select in-stock Ram 1500 Bighorns. These trucks are packed with options, including crew cab and four-wheel drive. And don't forget, trades are still bringing top dollar. Even if you don't buy from us, we will still pay you cash on the spot for your trade. Visit us at Kansas City's only automotive outlet mall, the Legends Auto Plaza, on the southeast corner of 435 and Parallel, just east of Nebraska Furniture Mart, or online at victorymotorskc.com, where our first price is better than their last.
Welcome back to Track Talk. I'm Kirk Elliott along with Scott Traylor. Lance Dewease, one of the favorites to win the National Open tonight. And earlier this week, Scott Traylor spoke with him on Mostly Motorsports. Here's a portion of that interview.
Yeah. Right now, you're tied with Steve Kinser with 4 National Open wins. If you win this weekend, that's going to put you ahead of him. That's pretty good company right there, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, sure is. I mean, one of the most impressive win totals on the all-time win list at Williams Grove is Steve Kinser's, because I'm not sure where he's at now, but he's up on the win list, and they come 6 times a year. You know, he used to come in 6 times a year or so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was years that he showed up, him and Carl, and win every show they showed up at in here. So he's always been very fast in here, you know, before he retired. And, you know, it's you kind of need to be tied with him, but I'd like to be ahead of him. I mean, I kind of like the all-time one, but
yeah,
Schatz has that right now over me and Steve, and, you know, who knows? You know, we're just taking one race at a time and you know, try to win it. And if you win it, then you worry about the next one.
You know, you won your first National Open, I think it was 1996, and then you won your second in 01 and 02, back-to-back there. But then there was a long stretch between 02 and 2018. What do you think was the issue there? Why it took you so long from 2002 to 2018 to win another National Open?
Well, I mean, there's your racing's up and down valley. You have your highs and lows, and you know we went through some tough times there. You know, a few years, and then there's times that we were pretty darn good too.
Yeah,
and you just don't always win. I mean,
yeah,
plain and simple. I think our I don't know exactly if it's still true, but I have the best average for the Williams Grove National over everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we don't win, we still run really good in that race. You know, there's been times that, you know, we ran really good, you know, seconds, thirds, and fourths. And, you know, you just have to win, you have to have everything go right and go your way. And, you know, sometimes that just don't happen.
Right. So in 2018, you were inducted into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. What an honor that is. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, they sponsor this show weekly. And Bob Baker up there is one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. Talk about what it meant to you to be into the Hall of Fame.
It means a lot now. Initially, when it first happened, it wasn't that big a deal to me. Just because he kind of thought it was going to happen because of my stats and, you know, what I've done in my career. But
right.
He really didn't think. But, you know, that day of me being inducted, and, you know, one of the neatest things about the induction is not yourself, the other guys that go in with you, and sitting there and listen to their background and their history and what they have accomplished. And it's pretty, pretty blows you away by some people, what they have accomplished. And, I can't remember the guy's name. He was a announcer, I think, or something like that got inducted. I mean, this guy, it blew me away what all he did. And I never even knew him. Because we all kind of live in our own little world. Racing wise. So
right.
It was pretty neat. To sit there and like Scott Gherkin went in the same time I did, and I knew Scott. So I got to learn some things about him I didn't know. So it was just neat. That's kind of the neat part about it.
Yeah. Does it mean anything to you to win the 60th annual Champion Racing Oil National Open? Is that number mean anything to you, that it's the 60th? Is that? No. It means it's National Open to me. The number, how many they ran, that's just part of life. 10 years from now, it'll be the 70th. Right. Just being National Open is what means something to me. And that's what we kind of try to work towards all year long. And we kind of been pretty fast there, but it might be a little bit different racing because the track is at now for 2 weeks, 3 weeks almost. So it's going to be a little different, probably racing maybe. And it still comes down to one thing: you still have to put yourself in the right position, take advantage of it, if you can. Yeah. What has Don meant to you for your career? I mean, you guys got a great relationship. You're winning a lot of races. What has he meant to your career? Oh, he meant a lot. I mean, I basically was probably going to be done, and I called him out of the blue, and and I really didn't know what his plans were, and it took a whole 5-10 minutes for us to put a deal together, and it's been a blast because he raced, so he understands a lot of things that I go through with the race car, driving it, and all that, and then working with Davey's been great. He's just unbelievable, and it's just it's a perfect situation, I think, for everybody involved. We don't over race and get worn out at our ages, and it just we stay competitive, and we feel like when we show up, we're capable of winning any show that we show up to. Yeah, no doubt. I'm 62 years old, and I raced for 35 years. I quit when I was 50, and I felt like I was still competitive. But at your age, you're 57 years old right now.
10-4.
Do you have a timeline of when you feel like, because we talked about it during the open of the show, you're so good at what you do right now, it would be hard. All right, that's our interview that we had with Lance Deweese on Mostly Motorsports. You can listen to it every day at 12 noon Central Time. You can listen to it on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and racingboys.com. We want to thank all of our friends that are listening from around the country this morning and every day on Mostly Motorsports. Got people listening from PA. We've got people listening from Georgia, Oregon. So we want to thank everybody that listens to our show each and every day right here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network, and Sports Radio 810 WHB.
30.
Hour number 2 right around the corner. Again, you can watch it exclusively on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or racingboys.com. Can't wait. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products.
15.
For Blake, for Todd, for Austin, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you right around the corner, hour number 2, right here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network.
Tailgating at Mizzou has never been easier. Book a turnkey
job, fellas.
tailgate
Thanks, my
with
friend.
Revel
Appreciate it.
XP,
Thanks,
and
Blake.
let them set up your tailgate just steps
No problem.
away
Sorry
from
about
Faroe Field.
the commercial.
Whether
I
it's a
thought
small
for some
gathering
reason
of
you guys
friends
might have
or a
dropped
large
off when that
company outing.
commercial Oh, or when you
yeah,
guys'
no.
interview didn't play.
Yeah, no, that was all good.
That was perfect. We had a little computer
before the game
before I
starts.
got here.
For
You
more
know,
information or to book your tailgate,
No
call
worries. Have a good weekend, brother.
573-355-9572.
Yeah, have a good one. Go Chiefs. Go Chiefs.
That's 573-355-9572, or visit revelxp.com/Mizzou.
At Lucas Oil, we take pride in creating problem-solving products to make your car care easier. We protect your vehicle and make it run longer so you can focus on the things that matter most. Whether it's commuting to work, visiting a loved one, taking the kids where they need to go, going to the big game, or anywhere life takes you, Lucas Oil is committed to getting you there for all of life's important moments. Lucas Oil, it works.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Spirit Specialty Sportswear in-house. We do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works. There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Missouri's must play getaway. Osage National Golf Resort.
3 9-hole courses to choose from at the Lake of the Ozarks in the Osage River Valley. Stay and play packages in our first-class condos. A beautiful clubhouse complete with pro shop and exercise facilities. A large pool for relaxation and families. The Eagle View Sports Bar and Grill. Great wedding facilities. Go online and make your tee time today.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum. And our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and if you're not listening to the Racing Boys, then you've got some sort of head problems. You got to listen to the Racing Boys. Get her done!
Welcome to Hour 2 of Track Talk on the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Made in America, sold to the world. Here again are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. I'm Scott. He's Kirk. We are the Racing Boys. Todd and Austin helping us out. We want to thank Blake in hour number 1 over at Sports Radio 810 WHB. How you doing, Kirk?
I'm doing good. You know, I was watching that Humboldt race last night, and after the late model race, there was a pretty good modified race that we probably need to talk about. The top 2 in the USRA national points were going at it last
Key
night.
And Jamie Davis?
Yeah, Tyler Davis picks up the win over Dylan McCowan, and that's a big race. So we're getting down to, I think there's 1 or 2 more races left before they determine the championship. And Tyler Davis looks like he's sitting in pretty good shape. 21 feature victory. That was his 21st feature victory last night.
And the Midwest mods, Matthew Kay and Jamie Davis were the top 2 getters there.
They had a big USRA event down at Tri-State Speedway in Pecola, Oklahoma last night. About 40 race cars down there. Tyler Wolf picks up the victory.
Did you watch
there.
any of that?
I didn't get to see any of that.
That would be over on Racing Dirt, right?
Racing Dirt was carrying that. Yeah. I think they're doing it again tonight.
Right.
I think there's another big night of racing down there. And I'm sure these same modifieds will be down at 81 Speedway tonight.
Right.
So anyway, a lot of good action last night, some of which I wasn't able to see. We didn't get to see Gio Scelzi win last night. Like I say, I'm not sure who was carrying the live video of that. You know, Austin? Gio Scelzi's big win last night?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure anybody carried that race last night at Babs.
I didn't see it.
Doesn't the cushion normally carry
I thought
Babs?
They used to. I'm not sure they still do. I know they used to.
I thought they did. So. At one time they did, I know.
By the way, Cushion doing a good job of covering that Trophy Cup out there this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Great.
Is that Ryan? All right. Well, Ryan Ragland's going to check in real quick with us. Let's go to the phones and visit with Ryan. Hey, Ryan, good job last night, man. Appreciate you doing that.
Thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure, and Mother Nature kind of, in my mind, kind of had her own way of doing things. The crew did the best they could with, they.
Was it windy down there last night?
Pardon?
Was it windy? Was the wind blowing?
Yeah, I thought the wind would die down after the sun went down, which, in this area usually happens, but it kept going when I left. When I left last night, it was still a pretty stiff wind, and the track was at its best during qualifying. They were running a little over 14-second laps. And there was a little bit of a stretch there we could run high and low, and by the time the feature came out, it ended up getting locked down to the bottom about 15, 20 laps into it, and like you guys mentioned before, Tyler Bruni and Mike Marlar were the two big chargers. Lap traffic kind of came into it if you're going to go green for 40 laps. But still, all in all, great turnout. The car count was, probably better than what they were expecting. John Allen was telling me a week ago that he was looking at 30 cars. They ended up getting 38, and I got to suspect they're going to have pretty close to that tonight at 81 Speedway.
Yeah. I was curious why Chase Youngins at the end of that race said it was kind of one lane. And then you see a guy like Mike Muller started 17th and worked his way up to 4th. Tell me what Chase Youngins was talking about there a little bit.
Well, he was running up high the first 10, 15, 20 laps, and I could see that Dennis Erb was catching up to him. And it was, all right, someone's going to have to tell him to start running low, and they did. The track just started getting really marbly with all the dust and everything that was starting to go up high, and they couldn't get it blown off. And Gustin tried to run high a few times because that's where he is and that's where he gets his car set up. But it wasn't inducive to running a 2-lane. It wasn't that you had. I mean, if you were going to push them, one of the easiest ways to push them out. But you were kind of waiting for someone to make a little bit of a
bobble
mistake so you could take advantage of it. Something that Marlar had set up, and who knows? I'm actually going to ask him about that today when we get to 81 and find out what was different. But I think it just got down to the point where, there was communication between Chase and his crew that he was right where he needed to be. He got by Boone Briggs later, put 2 cars between him and Herb. And you guys were talking about earlier that Herb probably wasn't too happy with second, but I talked to Chase after the interview, and he says, I guarantee Herb is not too disappointed with second because right now he's in with the points. He's not going to push the issue, and he's got a second-place finish. So I'm pretty sure he's happy with that. What Marlar was doing, I have no idea.
Were you a little set back, Ryan, that Ryan Gustin, he started 9th, he ended up running 9th last night, and with all of his experience around there with USMTS and USRA and those type of modifieds, you think he might have a little bit of an advantage over some of the guys that hadn't raced at this racetrack before. Were you a little surprised by his performance last night?
I'm sure he was. There was a stretch there where he was battling with Bruning and Brandon Shepard, and Muller got underneath him, and I think Gustin was kind of trying to figure out where he needed to be. Shepard was running up high for a while, and Gustin went down low and made the pass, and I think he tried to run that second line that Jason talked about in the interview that, it was really – your angle entry was so important, kind of like a road course, because you really had to back off of it. And Chase said he was really rolling out of it and just letting the car settle and not pushing it. 3 and 4 is a little bit wider than, I want to say, not as tight of a corner as 1 and 2. And that's where they try to get momentum build up. I just think he was pushing. He was trying to find something. Like I said, 40 laps is going to be tough to do anything when the track starts getting dusty and it wasn't a dry slick. It was just, when the cars get started, man, that first wave of dust and everything comes through, and you got to imagine that setting on the track.
Did it take rubber? Did it take rubber at all last night?
It looked like it was trying to, and I thought maybe it would. It didn't take as much as I thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
When the Midwest mods came out, I thought maybe they would add a little bit to it. They don't have the horsepower, but I thought maybe they'd add a little bit. But it didn't rubber up, and I thought maybe if it did, we'd start seeing maybe some slide jobs a little bit in 3 and 4 or something. But it didn't take as much as I thought it would.
Right.
Yeah, it's just the weather conditions. I think it threw everybody for a curve. It was nice. It was warmed up, great for the fans and everything. But, I just don't think anybody expected the type of weather that rolled in this week. So, it made for a very challenging operation to get that track in good racing shape last night.
Well, I thought they were going to kind of leave it the way it was when I got there because they had it pretty well watered down, and I saw Steve Francis walk over to Wentworth to Wentworth, and they were talking about something. Next thing I know, Wentworth's jumping in the tractor, and I call it the fingers that has little like 3-inch, 4-inch fingers that that lay down, and they just go in a circle. And he went back out there and worked it up a little bit, and then they watered it again, and then they brought the trucks out to pack it down, and then they had some of the late models come out before the hot laps to help pack it, and it took a little bit for it to wear in. And at that time, I'm sitting there going, ain't going to have to worry about this bad boy, going dry, and the wind just never died. If the wind would have died down, I think it would have been a lot better, but it just never did.
Hey, there was some passing last night when Mike Marlar comes from 17th to 4th. It's not like it was just a lockdown one-group racetrack.
We just talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I'm gonna have to ask Mahler about, and he actually was pitted a couple doors down from a couple trailers down from Chase, and he came over and congratulated him, and Max Blair came over too and stuff, and they really didn't talk shop or anything, but Scott was talking about it, Guston being disappointed, and it's like, you're still talking about some of the best in the area, and all the different sort of tracks that you go to. And I talked to Guston about it. You've got to be on top of it, and you've got to, you're looking at track, and you're trying to find out what track is similar to this and the kind of setup, and you're trying to be a fortune teller on what that tells the future to find out, try to figure out what the track's going to do.
Right. How about that USRA modified race? Tyler Davis picked up the win. What did you think about that race?
Who else but Tyler Davis right now is going to win? He's had a really great year. Struggled just a pinch during the heat race, but I mean, Tyler Davis, is right now is probably one of the best in the area, and he has a USMTS win this year, and he's been running a lot of those tour stops, and he's just flat out good right now.
Tim Carrick had a great run down there last night. You don't normally see him run good as few times he's been to Humboldt, but a fourth-place finish last night. He has to be thrilled about that.
Yeah, when I saw him come in, the only time I've ever seen Carrick at Humboldt was during USMTS, and I wasn't too surprised. I didn't know what Lakeside had going on because I was so centered on this weekend and stuff. But yeah, he ran pretty well, and he's ran CMS so much that it's just kind of a little bit of a throwback. Doesn't have quite the deep banking on the backstretch that CMS has, but he's pretty comfortable with it.
Yeah, he'll be at Lakeside Speedway tonight, by the way. They're racing out there tonight for
Are you sure he's going to be there? Maybe he went to 81.
I think he'll be at Lakeside tonight.
I think 81 has the B mods, and I think they may have both A mods and B mods. I was talking to Kenton Allen yesterday when I was getting my pass, and I think he said it was A and B mods are going to be there tonight.
Yeah. Hey, you never say never. Where Tim might just want to go run around and run some other races
we'll
this
see
weekend.
what happens.
Yeah.
But I would expect him at Lakeside. But who knows? Who knows?
Might surprise you.
Yeah.
Hey,
might surprise you.
Great
for sure.
tribute for Rick Eshelman last night. Boy, we sure missed him behind the microphone last night.
Yeah, I really didn't talk to too many people. I got to talk to Ben Shelton yesterday a little bit. Going to get with him and Ruben and kind of do a together deal with them at 81 later on. Talk to some of the other drivers and stuff, and it was kind of business as usual, but just that little missing link that kind of makes everything complete, I guess you'd say. You when you go to a track, you're expecting X people to be there that are normally there. You're expecting Eshelman to come through and just say hi, get some information, anything going on and stuff, for the show and stuff. And it was just, people were getting stuff done, but it was just that little space that's missing in there. And it's going to take a little bit to get used to it. They did a nice tribute to him. And Guston and Gundaker still both have their little tribute pictures on top of the roofs of their cars, and they're going to be running those for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, missing man formation on the 4-wide. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Ryan, man, we really appreciate all the effort you put into getting sound for Race Boys and everything, man. We can't thank you enough for doing that.
Well, I appreciate you guys for giving me the chance to do it, and like I've told you guys before, if you guys wouldn't let me do it, I probably wouldn't have made it to I-80. I probably still would have made it to Knoxville, and I enjoy doing this, and it kind of, it's kind of cool building some of the relationships with some of the drivers and going up there, and they start recognizing a little bit, and it makes it easier to go up to them and be able to get a comment or just talk to them and get some information, and it just makes it a lot easier, and it's just fun and enjoyable. And you guys know about that, having having relationships with the drivers, and just, it's that whole racing community you start feeling like you're a part of.
Yeah, Mother Nature didn't treat you well at I-80 and your trips to Knoxville this year. But I don't think we have to worry about that tonight, right?
I'm going to have a conversation with her, and that's not going to happen again.
Right. Well, hopefully it'll stay warm for you tonight. It looks like good weather out there at 81.
It's going to be fantastic. I'll tell you what, it might have gotten a little cool last night. It didn't get cold, and it was perfect weather. And if it's like this, 81 Speedway being just a little bit bigger, a little bit wider turn or longer turns, that's a perfect combination to get some horsepower going and some good racing tonight.
You deserve a good night of good weather at the racetrack.
We'll see you up at US 36. All right, Ryan?
I wish I could, but 4:00 Monday morning comes early, Scott.
Oh, so you can't do US 36.
I won't be able to do 36 as much as I want. I will tell you this, Ben Shelton, when I talked to him about all three tracks, and he goes, yeah, 81 is going to be fun. He goes, 36 is the one that I'm interested in watching. I said, well, it's high bank. I said, straightaway is about as long as Humboldt. He goes, that's going to be fun to watch. So he's really waiting for that one.
Well, US 36, I hope John Bowler has a good turnout up there, a big crowd. That's what I'm hoping for.
He deserves it. And like I talked with Chase, to me, this is a big deal. If you can get the turnout tonight and tomorrow at 36, you could do a 4-day show. You could sit there and go Wichita, Humboldt, Lakeside, and 36 and make a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday show out of it and make a nice swing out of it. Start getting some car count build up if you get it at the right time. This could be a big swing for either for World of Outlaws or Lucas Oil or whichever.
Yeah.
Just start getting the big shows in.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Ryan. Well, thank you so much for calling in, man. We appreciate you.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.
All right. Ryan Ragland.
Yeah, I'm thinking with...
does this a good job when he goes out there.
Does.
Yeah.
I'm thinking with Casey Schumann now part of I-70 that we're probably going to see this series out there. I'm guessing.
So just so you know, Jeremy Elliott's SprintCarUnlimited.com is who is carrying the races at BAPS. Bubba Dietrich was in his usual big baby form last night.
Bubba Dietrich?
Yeah, that's what it says. Kicking in Macri's front wing under the red flag.
Oh, man.
Oh, I got to see that.
Where's that at? Has anybody got a highlight clip on YouTube of that?
Do you have some of that, Austin?
No, I don't. But what you don't know is Anthony crashed Danny on the restart.
Oh, really?
So that's Danny Dietrich is when he says Bubba.
Yes.
Right. So
wow. Drama at
hold
BAPS.
Hold on. So tell me what happened there again, Austin. Macri crashed Dietrich?
Yep, from what I heard on the restart. And they've had run-ins before, so it's...
Double D is not... He's not the fan favorite there, is he?
He doesn't take anything from anybody.
I like him.
You hit him once, he's going to drive you through the fence, which we need people like that.
That's my kind of driver, man. 100%.
Wow. Somebody's got to post a highlight clip up there somewhere about that.
We have an account over there at Sprint Car Unlimited. I think it's on that white computer, and I might have saved the password to get in there if you want to take a look on it. But I think it's on that white computer over there.
Yeah, that'll be worth seeing. I can't wait to see what that looks like.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Kirk, I'm looking forward to getting up to US 36 tomorrow night. What about you?
Oh, absolutely. I always love. That's one of my favorite racetracks. You know that.
Yeah.
And we don't see the late models at US 36 very often.
No.
So it's going to be a pretty special night of racing up there tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to get up there. And I hope all the fans support John Bowler because, man, he's had a tough year up there, hasn't he? US 36. He's had a lot of rainouts this year.
Yeah, they had weather issues back there in the middle of the summer, but he's had some big events here recent past. They had that Missouri Nationals up there a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, they deserve a big night of racing. There was a lot of those special events that they had scheduled early in the year. You remember, Scott, the World Outlaws sprint cars were supposed to be up there. And the
National
ASCS sprint cars, some other big events up there that were wiped out early in the year. And when you get rainouts in the spring, that's bad.
Yeah.
So trying to recover from all that.
That's when you need to make your money, in
Right.
the spring and the fall. So hopefully this race tomorrow night will do old John Buller some good. I hope so. We don't want our racetracks to continue to close, do we, Kurt?
No.
We're seeing way too many of them closing up right now.
Well, sounds like Devil's Bowl Speedway is going to be around a little while longer. So that's good news. Hopefully.
Well, from what we heard from Lanny Ross,
yeah,
it sounds like the deal isn't done yet.
And they're going to have a big event down there next weekend for the Extreme Outlaws Sprint Car Series next Friday and Saturday night at the Devil's Bowl. So that'll be a big event worth watching. Big half-mile racetrack.
Pete just said, John Hunter Nemechek, fastest in practice in 45, subbing for Bubba.
Bubba not in Homestead this weekend. We'll talk more about that with Lee Spencer here in just a little bit. We'll get her online. Did you want to run one of these other highlight interviews that you did from earlier this week? We've got Dennis Erb Jr., who we had on yesterday, and he is the current point leader in the World of Outlaw Late Model Series. Came up with a second-place finish last night to chase Young Ann's.
Hold on.
We haven't got transferred. We can run one of these other interviews first.
Yeah, run one of the other ones.
Steve Post, the Postman. You talk with him every Wednesday on Mostly Motorsports, and you talk a lot of sprint car racing, and you kind of handicap the National Open that's going on tonight. Talk about some other things in your weekly visit with the Postman. He's down at Homestead Miami Speedway this weekend doing the pit reporting for Motor Racing Network. He does Wing Nation, and here's part of the weekly visit with Steve Post with Scott Traylor on Mostly Motorsports from earlier this week.
So we'll step over to the NASCAR side of things and talk a little bit about, what the subject of the week is, right? It's Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson. And to be honest with you, I thought it was BS what Bubba Wallace did, hooking Kyle Larson on a 1.5-mile track at the speeds they were running. Your thoughts about that?
Oh, yeah, I agree. You can't do that.
Right.
I mean, that's just not acceptable. And you just can't do it. And you have got to. I understand emotion, and this was a fascinating. And I stay out of the discussion. I don't live in that world. I don't host programs. I don't get on social media about it and everything like that.
Right.
And I watch this thing, and there is nobody in the NASCAR industry that is more pro Kyle Larson, and nobody in the NASCAR industry that is more pro Bubba Wallace than I am. I mean, Bubba was one of my Legends kids, one of my summer shootout kids.
Right.
And the reason that I love Bubba Wallace to death is his passion, his energy, his drive, his determination. What got Bubba in trouble is his passion going over the top, and he made a major mistake there. You can't do that. And he messed up, and he messed up big time. Now, a lot of guys mess up. I mess up. We all mess up. Wesley messed up. I mean, Bubba did it on a big stage, national television, in a spot that was very dangerous to a fellow competitor in a time period where all we have talked about the last month or so is rear-end hits of these cars. So
right.
Bubba's emotion got the best of him, and he made a big mistake, a big error, and he cannot do that anymore.
Yeah. I'm sure McDonald's can't be too happy about this as well, right? I wouldn't think.
I don't think anybody
is.
is.
I don't think anybody is.
Yeah, you can't be. And then I think this is. Let's talk a little bit about the penalty phase of this thing. Okay, I've watched this week unfold, and I do a little podcast for one of my diecast clients, and I said it doesn't matter what NASCAR does. It doesn't matter what NASCAR does. A small percentage will think it's all right, and a large percentage will not. And that doesn't matter what they do. You know, I mean, you know, suspended for a year. You know, obviously, there a lot of people would have lost their minds about that. A $15 fine, a lot of people would have been upset about that, and anywhere in between. We end up in between with one race. I think the one race penalty is I've seen a lot of people on social media saying he wasn't penalized because there wasn't a cash or a points thing. What is cash to Bubba Wallace or that race team?
Nothing.
Points, yes, exactly. Points, there might be a little bit of it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What is Bubba Wallace feeling on Sunday afternoon this weekend? What do you think Bubba Wallace is going to be doing on Sunday afternoon? You know what he wants to do.
Right.
You know what he's supposed to be doing. You want to send a message to him. He's in timeout. And I tend to think that in whatever you want to go. I mean, and I heard you guys talking, and Austin thought maybe 2 races. That's fine. If it's 2 races, I think sitting out this weekend will likely more accomplish the goal of Bubba never doing this again than a monetary fine. Because it is going to be a terrible weekend for Bubba Wallace.
No
Watching your car go around that racetrack, watching your sport go on without you. And this sport can go on without Bubba Wallace. This sport went to Rockingham without Dale Earnhardt.
Right.
This sport can go on with Bubba Wallace, and we will have a perfectly good race at Homestead Miami Speedway. And he's going to have to watch it. I just believe that the suspension of the suspension, 1 race, 2 races, whatever you want to go. I think this suspension, I think we're looking here at making sure that this doesn't happen again. I think the suspension is the best course for Bubba and probably anybody else to double think and maybe pump the brakes when you're faced with that similar situation. Because this is going to be a lousy Sunday afternoon for Bubba Wallace. Lousy Sunday afternoon for Bubba.
No doubt.
Imagine it. Imagine. You've lived your whole life for this. You've scratched and clawed. You've been called names. You've been beaten, battered up and down the country. You find yourself in a spot a month ago. You get that second career win, and you take yourself out of the seat of that race car.
Yeah. I think the biggest loser in all of this, he's currently 8th in the points, is Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell was an innocent victim of this. And it's sad to see that, to be honest with you, because now he's 8th in points.
Agree totally. I agree totally. That is you're right, and it's the victim of this. Here's you know, Christopher's putting a happy face on it, and I'll say this, okay? I had Christopher Bell making the Final Four. Christopher Bell is still on my list to make the Final Four, and I don't think it's because of Martinsville prowess. Christopher Bell can go to Homestead and make this all right, you know. And here's the thing: Christopher Bell and that team are talented enough to go to Homestead and make it all right. The Toyotas on the 1.5-mile tracks have been really, really good, and Christopher Bell on that racetrack, it's his favorite racetrack, have been really, really good. Now, I hate that he's the innocent victim of Bubba taking out Kyle Larson. I hate that for Christopher Bell. That's part of the racing and I don't know how you ever fix that in racing, because there's innocent victims all the time in motorsports. That just is part of the game, and it's you kind of go with it, you kind of live with it, you kind of ride with it, and go with that. There's innocent victims all the time, but the reality of it is that if you're Christopher Bell, you still have some life left in you, because you're going to Homestead Miami Speedway, and he is really good at this racetrack. And the last time their back was against the wall was a place called the Roval, where he's not good, and they scored the win. Now we're going to the track, and I don't know that back against the wall. Martinsville is such a wild card that maybe his back is against the wall at Homestead, and this is a track where he is really, really good. I would not be surprised at all if Christopher Bell doesn't win on Sunday afternoon. Writing the whole chapter of these 2 weeks and putting everything kind of somewhat semblance of what it was supposed to be.
Well, we want to thank our friend Cole for sending me a link to Double D kicking in the nose wing of Macri. We're going to show it here in just a second.
It was Double D doing it to Macri?
Huh?
Double D doing it to Macri?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've not seen that video. We're just about ready to take a look at it here just a little bit. Last night at Baps Motor Speedway.
Put that full screen, Todd. There we go. So there's old Double D. He's not looking too happy right there, is he?
Did we see...
hold on, Kirk. Just stick with it.
No, nothing before. This is all.
He's working his way to Macri right now. There he is. There's Anthony. He goes up and gives him some lip. Like, what the hell are you doing? I wish we had the wreck. Now look. As he steps back. Stomp. Stomp. But Macri wasn't too happy about that.
This was during the feature event?
This is during a red.
And Macri came back and finished fourth in that race, right?
Did he?
Yeah. If this was the main event.
He might have won if he didn't have that beat-up nose wing. That's funny.
Yeah, if we could see what happened to lead up to that.
Yeah. Might want to keep that file somewhere, Todd. We might want to use that this week.
So Jeremy Elliott's Sprints Unlimited video had that live video last night. Yeah, I thought you had a login to that here a while back. Maybe we can get in there.
I still do somewhere.
And see if we've got
to buy each race. Even though you have a login, you have to buy each race.
Oh, it's individual races.
Oh, okay. So you had to purchase last night individually.
I like the Flow model.
A monthly subscription.
$150. We did that, didn't we?
Or it's the annual subscription.
Kirk, at the end of our run, we did it for $150, didn't we? Remember that?
For that, but that was just for the Chili Bowl, wasn't it?
No. Towards
or $150, for the annual.
For the annual fee.
Yes, we did.
We did. But we didn't have near the races.
No, we couldn't provide the content that Flow or Dirt Vision could provide.
Right.
That was our biggest issue.
Yeah.
Flow. You look at the Flow schedule. They changed their website, which I'm going to get used to that. The listing of races that they have on a nightly basis, especially during the weekend.
Right.
Well, they got about a dozen or 15 races on a weekend.
Yeah. Hey, do you got that herb loaded?
I've got it loaded, but leave at 9:30.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So what do you think about this Bubba thing? Your comment about that?
I don't really care much about it, to be honest with you. All right.
I'll bet Lee does, though.
Let's bring in Lee Spencer. She joins us now here on Track Talk. Lee, how you doing?
I'm super. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So, do you think the penalty was strong enough for Bubba?
I think it sends a message. I think it'll keep ratcheting up from there. You know, when you look at that compared to what they did to Byron, I mean, I think they should have suspended Byron, actually, you know, and then put Bubba at a 2-race suspension. I will say that the reaction from the dirt community has been a lot harsher than the stock car community. So it's been really interesting to see how, you know, just I wouldn't say true racers because, you know, everyone's a racer, but how the grassroots racers, you know, perceive the whole situation compared to the people inside of NASCAR.
Yeah, you're not surprised about that, though, are you?
I mean, probably not. And, I mean, when I was on Sirius co-hosting on track on Tuesday, I read Kevin Swindell's comments on Twitter, you know, and used him for reference because he's somebody who, you know, had a shot, albeit not a great one in NASCAR, you know, potentially one of the most, you know, talented up-and-coming racers in, you know, out of dirt, right? but was more on the starting park deal when that was really prevalent over there. I mean, I just don't think he had an opportunity to really show what he was capable of accomplishing on the stock car side. But, you know, when he talks about, you know, there are so many people in grassroots racing that never get the opportunity, and, you know, here Bubba did, and he shows his ass, and, you know, it's understandable how that would just really offend a lot of people in grassroots racing.
Well, you know, the dirt crowd thinks that Kyle Larson's one of their own, and you're picking on our guy.
And, you know, let's take that a step back, right? Not only do you take out Larson, you take out C. Bell, right? So two of the best candidates of the last decade, and, you know, I'm not going to go back to Tony and Jeff, you know, but, you know, certainly that's their pedigree as well. But I would say, you know, two of the top prospects come out of dirt of their generation, and he takes them out in one fell swoop. I mean, absolutely, it's understandable. And it's, you know, it's ironic actually, but it's, you can't have that. And my biggest thing my biggest takeaway on the whole situation is the fact that he is driving the 45 car because Kurt is on the sidelines due to a head injury. Right. They have implored upon the drivers how dangerous this car is, and it took a lot for NASCAR to admit that. They didn't want to admit that at first, right?
Right.
But after doing the data and then showing them the crash data at Charlotte, and I can tell you, standing outside of that meeting and watching some of the looks on the faces of the drivers that came out, you know, I would have probably held that meeting during the week. So you're not strapping into a race car immediately following what their findings are, you know, and what the situation was. And I think that that's why that meeting was not as productive as it could have been, because it turned into probably a 45-minute bitch session before it got to, you know, brass tacks on what they actually found. And, you know, so much so that they offered to come back on Sunday and do the rest of the meeting. But, you know, do you really want to hold safety meetings before these guys get into the car? I mean, yes, you're reinforcing the fact that these cars are dangerous, but on the other side of that, do you want that in the back of their heads when they're getting in the cars and getting ready to go 180 miles an hour? I mean, you know, I think not.
Were the drivers, did they approve of what they want to do to these cars to soften up the frame
rails? The direction I think that they're going in, you know, anything after not listening to them, after having two drivers on the concussions, you know, from backing in, and just think about it. Mm-hmm. Honestly, that did not scrub some of the energy off of Larson's car. We might have three drivers and two past champions sitting on the sidelines in the 2022 season due to concussions.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point. If he hadn't hit Bell's car and hit that solid wall, yeah, we might be talking about Kyle Larson.
Sitting out right now.
Sitting out, yeah.
Can't Christopher Bell recover from this, do you think?
Man, I hope so. I expect him to be stout this weekend. I will say that, you know, listening to what the drivers had to say going out of the Homestead Miami test, they really think Hamlin is the guy to beat. So if Hamlin is in the same camp as Bell, and, you know, they're privy to the information that they have in the 11, then yeah. But on the other side of that, you know, I find it ironic that Hamlin has talked about getting changes to the noses on the Toyota if they were fasted down there. If they, you know, I mean, he had a top 5 at Las Vegas. Should he really be bitching about how bad their intermediate program is? I mean, you know, that kind of baffles me. I mean, yeah, the numbers aren't there, but you guys only have 6 cars. You know, it's hard to compare what the overall, you know, winning percentage, top 5 percentage, top 10 percentage. You really have to break it down to the percentages and not the sheer numbers, because they're not represented as such. And so I think Bell does have it in him. I think he has a much better shot at Homestead than he does at Martinsville. But on the other side of that, you guys remember when he was in the Xfinity Series, we were all sitting there thinking he's the guy to beat. And I will never forget, him saying, I'm not worried about this whatsoever. And then he had his ass handed to him in the final, and which was really, really surprising because Reddick, 2 years in a row, boom, boom, won the championship just because of how solid he was and how close to the rim he could ride it at Homestead. And I will tell you, that's going to be a real fine line. These tires are giving up really quick, as you can tell by, the practice speed, how, they're fast out of the box and then they slow up considerably. So it's going to be interesting to see, who are the players tomorrow. And then you got Logano, who has absolutely nothing to worry about because he won last weekend and he can go out and go balls to the wall. They're already working on their program for Phoenix. They're going to be ahead of the other three guys that gets in. And, that's a pretty cool deal, especially when you know how solid the Penske cars are on the flat, mile tracks. I mean, here in New Hampshire, they've really excelled, but this is going to be a fun race. Not so much when we get to Martinsville next week. I think that's going to be really, you're going to feel the pressure when you drive into Martinsville next weekend, just from all the drivers desperately seeking one of those last two spots.
Let me ask you, do you think part of the penalty towards Bubba Wallace, did anybody say anything about him putting his hands on the official?
I don't think that. I mean, if you listen to the Steve O'Donnell interview with Dave Mooney on Sirius, and that was really from a media standpoint the only interaction we had, or the only response that we were able to hear regarding the penalty, that came from OD. And remind me to get to another point after this, but he basically, when he was asked that question, he basically stopped, and you could tell it was like, no, this is really the on-track thing, and that was more of a byproduct. I don't think, just giving some guy the Heisman, because it really wasn't a push or shove. It was, it was like more of a get out of my face deal. I mean,
Right.
yeah, did he have his hand on him? Yeah, but he was just like, okay, I'm going, I just let me go on my own terms, whatever. I didn't think that was nearly as egregious. I mean, it's not even, it's apples and oranges compared to punting Larson and potentially endangering him and Bell. The whole thing, it was just, he lost his.
He lost his
mind in a fit of anger, and you hate it because you hope that he's been there long enough that cooler heads prevail. But we can't have that, particularly when the last 2 months of being on the road with the NASCAR Cup Tour, safety has been the ongoing factor and catalyst for conversation on talk radio and in podcasts and whatever. It is completely, the first half of the season, competition, fabulous, Kirk gets hurt, nothing really happens to anybody else that they're discussing, right? I mean, if you talk to people behind the scenes, there were people who were seeing stars after some of their wrecks, and they just went underreported. HIPAA laws kind of prevent some of these things from coming out, but I would bet that there are a lot more concussions going on out there than what we're being told, and at least after Kurt's deal, what had happened. And I think that the comments that Alex Bowman made after, why he was on the radio, that I tweeted immediately, because it was just, it was like nails on a chalkboard hearing what he had to say about hardest hit he had ever taken in any car. That just really stuck with me. And I think if, the networks and, TV, radio, whatever, aren't playing those over and over again, that, maybe he tries to go under the radar, or, maybe his injury was just so severe in the aftermath that he could not take a chance of not sitting and being right before he climbed back into a race car.
Yeah, there's got to be other drivers that's taking these hits. They're not saying anything right now. We've got these notable instances now with Kurt Busch and Alex Bowman. Those aren't the only two. They can't be.
No. And, you don't know how many hits. I mean, there was talk about, I want to say maybe Kurt had a hit, either Daytona or Atlanta. There was some other hit he took earlier in the year. And, if from what we've learned over listening to what Dale Earnhardt Jr. has to say, the book that he puts out, it might not just be one hit, but all these multiple hits add up after a while. And, that's really the kind of get you moments in all of this, which, just makes it really, really tough. But I just think that it's really, something that we need to keep an eye on. And the other thing, one last thing on the Bubba incident before we move on. And I brought this up, and it was really funny because Kevin, well, it's not funny, but it kind of hammers the point home because Kevin Harvick, I saw him, he tweeted about it, maybe a day later or such, but, oh gosh, and now NBC's putting up they put up a photo of, Larson versus Bubba, and they're just spewing fire, right? What you expect them to do for ratings, but it was
right.
Like when you put them up against each other, like they're a couple of boxers getting ready to get in the ring. I mean, but anyway, my whole thing, the way NASCAR has almost become too soft, and I say that not from the standpoint of, yes, these cars are dangerous and it's inherently dangerous, and Kurt and Alex are a great reminder of that, if you can really say great, right? I mean, I would say maybe a stark reminder, but, back in the day, if some, like in Harvick's day, in Tony's day, Kurt Busch, the list goes on and on and on. If they had done something as reckless and stupid as what Bubba did at Las Vegas, they would have sat in their motor coach or wherever until after the race, waited for NASCAR, gone to the trailer, and had their ass chewed. And we don't have that anymore. And it is missing from the sport. They don't think that there are going to be repercussions. Money doesn't mean anything to these people. It's not like you and I. It's, they're not working 9 to 5s and working until sheer exhaustion 5, 6, 7 days a week, right? Writing a $100,000 check, it doesn't mean anything to them. Points mean a little bit more. You sit somebody up, it sits somebody out, it gets the point across. But I guarantee you, if you did something stupid and you had to sit and wait until the race was over, until the officials from race control came down, and you had to face a Mike Helton or a Bill France Jr. and have them ask you, what the hell were you thinking? You get a talk like that immediately following, after you have time to think about it and sit and stew and wondering what they're going to do. I think that sends a message home a lot harder than waiting until Tuesday at 5:30 to see what comes out from, via electronic transmission in email,
Right.
I mean, I'm sure that they called Hamlin and they called Bubba and, they all knew it was coming. But, a phone call, it doesn't send a message like putting somebody in the corner and waiting for their punishment.
And Bubba's not.
Hold on. I was going to say, the lack of leadership is what NASCAR is lacking right now, right?
Well, I think that's the point Denny was trying to make. He wasn't throwing shade at Steve Phelps. There needs to be some imposing figure, that if you cross the line, they're going to come down on you, and they're going to come down hard, and you're going to feel the wrath of NASCAR. Nobody's feeling the wrath of NASCAR. Sitting Bubba out right now is not feeling the wrath of NASCAR. They feel the sponsors' wrath more than they feel the wrath of NASCAR. And I think, if I was in Homestead this weekend, and I'm not, but I will be at Martinsville, that's where I want to ask Denny and Kevin, Because I guarantee you Denny was called to the trailer on more than one occasion. You know, they had a revolving door for Tony. You know, Tony and Kurt Busch got in a fight inside the trailer back in the, you know, that's how it blows my mind. I don't think you can have a kinder, gentler sanctioning body. I mean, I understand political correctness, and, you know, to some degree, you know, there's that, but you also have to know who's in charge. And I think that they desperately need to find somebody of the Mike Helton ilk to get across to these kids that type of behavior will not be tolerated.
Yeah, you had Big Bill France, you had Bill France Jr., and you had Mike Helton, and you certainly didn't want to disappoint those people. Because
and I'm trying to put my finger on who is that guy now. I mean, who's really going to hammer home, the point that we're not going to, and I think that's where the disappointment in the people, the Kyle Pettys of the world that didn't think one race suspension was enough. You sit him out for the rest of the year. I get where he's coming from, but on the other side of that, who is the guy that said, do you want a place amongst the best stock car racers of the world, or do you want to, go back to your local short track?
Hey, the way the looks at John Hunter Nemechek is driving that 45 car here this morning. He's very fast. If he sits on the pole and has a chance of winning that race, Bubba's really not going to be feeling very good about that.
How badass was that? I'm proud of my next door neighbor. He did a fine job this morning. And you guys know that he was the backup driver this year. And, one thing I will say, and I've read the transcript, but I have not seen it, and I need to watch it. The NASCAR series on USA Today that they're running about, the behind the scenes, I think the Kyle Busch comments were pretty scathing. And if, he thought he was told he would be the franchise of Joe Gibbs Racing, and clearly not enough for them to go and, try to find sponsorship for him, right? And so here's your breaking news and for the week, and this is going to be, you can take this. Well, I won't say take it to the bank, but I'm pretty good. I'm pretty sure this is going to happen. Ty Gibbs is going to drive the 45 next year. They're going to park the 18. And the reason that they're going to do that is because when you think about Joey Logano, and he came in and had to get in the 20 like, Joey Logano did, or sorry, let me take a step back. Take the 20. Tony Stewart gets out. He's won a champion. Joey gets in. He's trying to live up to Tony's expectations. It was a disaster, right? They don't want the same thing for Ty Gibbs. So he's going to be over there. Chris Gale's going to be his crew chief. And it'll kind of be one of those fresh start situations. Now, one of the reasons that they were pushing for this is all going on during the Kyle Busch, negotiations, what have you. Rather than put in John Hunter, who was supposed to be the designated, backup driver from the start of the season, he got pushed by the wayside because of, what JGR was trying to accomplish by getting Ty into that ride for next year. And so I'm happy that John Hunter Nemechek is finally getting the opportunity in a good car because, no offense against Front Row Motorsports, but that, you put up one of their cars against a JGR Toyota, it's apples and oranges. So I'm really curious to see what he can do. I don't think he's going to, you don't want him to overstep his bounds. But if he goes in there and has a top 10 finish, I think it's an awesome day.
So what number is Tyler Reddick going to run next year?
Tyler's going to be at in the 45.
That's what I thought you said. Or I thought you said 45 was going to be...
Sorry, 54.
Oh, 54. There you go. The 54 is Ty Gibbs.
I had one of those
there you go.
moments. It's early.
That happens.
54
I'm
is Ty Gibbs.
on my first cup of coffee, boys and girls.
Hey,
now,
we're not getting any younger.
So no 18 at all.
True.
So
and imagine if we were banging into concrete walls.
Right.
Yeah. So. But anyway, 54. The other news coming out this week is, David Gilliland is going to be the new Toyota, the home for Toyota Trucking. He's taking over the KBM deal. KBM, they're going to be Chevrolets. They're going to have Jack Wood and Nick Sanchez are going to be the drivers for that. I'm also hearing Raja Karuth is going to be driving for GMS next year, so that, you have a little bit of truck news going on as well. But the thing of it is, the 18 crew chief, Ben Bayshore, after they lost the wheel last week at Las Vegas, he's out until next year. But if the 54, team, you can put a new crew chief. If you have a new team for next year and a new crew chief coming into a team, Bayshore would still have the suspension. It would not transfer on to Chris Gale, who's going to be Ty Gibbs' crew chief.
Yeah. Hey, Petty GMS, pretty good couple of drivers, Eric Jones and Noah Gregson. That's pretty solid, isn't it?
Oh, I think they're going to have fun together. I think those two are going to push each other. And, we have the Ty Dillon announcement going over to Spire with your buddies TJ and Jeffrey. I think that's a good relationship because they will finally have stability in the 77 car. That's not something they've had. They've had another revolving door, variety, different cast of characters in there every week. And, that's something else that with colleague Justin Haley has said, well, if I had the same teammate every week, maybe it would, make us better as a whole. I'd have somebody more consistent to get information from. And so I think between the 77 and Colin getting A.J. Allmendinger full-time, that it's going to help both of those young teams become, stronger.
Ty Dillon, he's going to move over to Spire. Corey LaJoie signs up for a couple more years over there, but that's kind of a little bit of a step backward for Ty Dillon, isn't it?
Well, nothing gelled for him, and he was stark with his comments. I mean, boy, these drivers, they're not backing down with their comments lately, right, are they? He was pretty stark about how he felt he was treated over at GMS. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, I think working with somebody like Corey, who he grew up racing Bandoleros with at, Summer Shootout at Charlotte, these kids have known each other for a long time. And, talk to Corey about it, talk to Ty about it on track Tuesday, and both drivers are very optimistic just because the chemistry that they've already developed. And I get the feeling that Ty Dillon never felt like, he was, it was beneficial to him being at GMS. So I kind of look at it as a gap year and, maybe just getting his feet wet again in the Cup Series. He'll be able to move on and really help build Spire. The big takeaway, in all of this, everyone is waiting for the TV contract to come along, the new TV contract. Nobody is going to change. These charters are not going to change hands. The number they're throwing out is between 26 and 30 million. And, when you think about, I think Dale Jr. said on the Dale Jr. download a couple weeks ago, I could have had a charter for $2 million. Well, I mean, can you imagine if you had $2 million laying around and you could have bought a charter back then, you could have sold it for now? I mean, gosh, we'd all be on an island somewhere, wouldn't we?
Right, no doubt. Hey, I will say this, though, about Ty Dillon. The kid can drive, right? I mean, there's...
I mean, Danielle and I off the record, and I basically said it to Ty, like, Danielle and I were talking off the record when you came along. We thought you were going to be the best of the two Dillon races.
Right.
I mean, we didn't hold back. And for whatever reason, maybe because it's just he's been in mediocre equipment since he came on board. He has not shown what he's capable of doing. And he was just I won't say amazing, but, he was really stout in the truck series. Just showed a lot of promise. He's won truck races, won Xfinity races. I'm just hoping that this is the opportunity he's looking for and that, maybe in a rain-shortened race somewhere one of the crew chiefs over at Spire will pull a rabbit out of their hat and get into victory lane and, just kind of build the confidence. Because I think, Corey, if Corey's top 15, if he can keep the car top 15, top 20, I think that's where Spire is right now. But, on an off day, on a crazy set of circumstances, just like Haley showed when he won the July Daytona race, I think either one of those cars, just because of how uniform the next gen car is, either one of those cars can get to victory lane.
I've always said this. You take a good driver and put him in a mediocre car, and if he carries that car a little bit, that says more about the driver than it does the team, right? We've seen it many
Jeff
times.
Rouse always used to look for guys who could take top 15 cars and make them top 5 cars,
Right.
or top 20 cars and make them top 10 cars. And
Right.
he knew that he had found a diamond in the rough, somebody he could build a program around. And those are the guys that he hired when Rouse was at its best. And you're absolutely right about, we hear this a lot lately. You have to take what the car is willing to give you. And Chastain has said that, just not taking a 10th place car and trying to get trying to win with it, because then you're just going to end up in the fence. And so I think for drivers, especially coming into the Cup, that's one of the toughest lessons for them to learn.
Yeah. All right, Lee. Well, listen, you've got a lot of great stuff going on in Racing Boys right now on the Scoop page. She's got a great article up there about Bubba Wallace draws a 1-race suspension for wrecking Kyle Larson at Las Vegas. She's also got a story about Joey Logano gambles and wins at Las Vegas. Josh Berry wins at Vegas, claims spot in Championship 4. A lot of great stuff on the Scoop page. You can read it all. She does a fantastic job for us over there, and we can't appreciate you enough.
Who's your pick to win Williams Grove tonight?
Oh, boy. One of the Pennsylvania posse is Mac re-entered.
Yep.
Lance DeWeese is the favorite to win.
Is he? He's on fire too, right? Especially on Twitter.
He's won the last 4 races at Williams Grove.
Well, then it'll come. My money's on the posse.
Your money's on the posse.
You guys give me a single driver. I'll take the posse.
All right. Well,
it's kind of like taking the field, right? I mean, I'll take the posse.
Right. Okay. All right, Lee.
How about Sunshine last night? That was stout too.
He did pretty good last night, right? Yeah.
Yep.
He got around Tanner Holmes there late in the race. I know that caution kind of cost Tanner Holmes a little bit, but until the race is over, it's not over, right?
And shout out to Keith Coons continuing the KKM Classic, because that to me, that's like the modern day Dirt Gong show.
That's at Port City Raceway this weekend.
Yeah. It was last night too.
Last night.
Yeah.
And tonight too.
Yeah. All right, Lee. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Take care, gentlemen. Have a great weekend.
All right, you
Thanks,
too.
Lee.
Bye, Lee.
So there you have it.
Hey, Austin, are you getting geared up for that F1 race down at COTA this weekend?
You know it. 2 o'clock tomorrow.
Hey, you know what I heard on I was watching some of the Formula One coverage, believe it or not, the other day. Yesterday it was. Do you know that no driver has won anywhere but from the front row in Formula One? All the races have been won by a driver from the front row.
So
I'm not sure.
That's
Not
what
this
they.
year.
That's what they said.
Not last year. I can tell you.
You
that.
mean from COTA?
I'm just telling
It's
you what
probably
they
from COTA.
They just said that. I was watching the coverage, and that's what
I'll
they
bet
said.
that's what they said. I'll bet it's from COTA.
No,
That's the case.
Yeah, because Max Verstappen took an engine swap and took a grid penalty at Spa and came from the back to win. I can pull the results up.
All right.
And Max Verstappen won this race a year ago, as I
Yes.
recall. And you
I'm just
went
going
online.
by what they said.
This was pretty interesting. You went online, Austin, yesterday and looked up how much it costs to say if I want to go watch this race, buy a ticket. You said the minimum general admission is like $200, but if you want a seat on the front stretch,
$3,500.
A single seat is $3,500. If you buy them in a pair, or 3, you're gonna save some money. But I mean, if I'm going by myself or if Kirk's going by himself, you better have a really good job, or you better have a lot of money. It's $3,500, $2,500, $1,500.
Kirk could afford it.
Or $200 just to get in the gate, right?
Well, let me just tell you, there's no way I would pay $3,500 to go watch a race.
You just got You got to even enter an email to even get to the point to even have the privilege to purchase a ticket on some of these. Now you can go to SeatGeek and some of these other ones.
What a bunch of snobs over there in Formula One.
So let's see here, 2-day pass.
Bunch of wine and cheeseheads.
Oh,
we could get you in. We could get you in a little cheaper.
Formula One.
Go to StubHub.
Possibly could be the worst racing in motorsports.
Let me get this straight. You don't like Formula One racing.
Let's say
I don't like it.
You could go to StubHub and get you a 2-ticket deal for $249.
I don't know how
each.
many years ago it was, but I remember the average pass for the lead was 1.2. One pass for the lead.
How many races has Verstappen won this year? He's the defending F1 champ. He's already wrapped up the championship, has he not, for the second year in a row?
Yes, he has. I mean, Scott sounds like a typical NASCAR fan. Claims he doesn't like NASCAR, but likes to talk about it all the time, but hates Formula One. I mean, it's not for everybody, and I can respect
that's
that.
All right.
But, I mean,
I like sprint cars, bud. That's what I like. I don't know if you know this about me or not yet, Austin, but I'm a sprint car guy.
I don't think you are. I don't think you are.
You don't think I'm a sprint car guy? That's all I talk about is sprint cars. You know me. I only talk about NASCAR just because I have to.
Well, I'll go pull up the stuff from the week before and 2 weeks before that. We went on it hard after Christopher Bell won. We went on it hard this week about Bubba. And
yeah, but what if you don't know anything about me? Because obviously you haven't figured it out yet. We've done 200 episodes together. What do I talk mostly about? Sprint cars.
I'll give you that. Yes.
For 85% or 80% of the time, we talk about open wheel racing on mostly motorsports. For the most part.
So what's the big storyline for tomorrow's race down there at COTA?
It'll be the fight for second place in the driver standings, and there's a possibility Red Bull can lock up the Constructors' Championships. I can't remember what way they have to finish. Pretty much, if Red Bull can lock out, 2 cars in the top 5 or both cars in the top 5, they pretty much have the Constructors' Championship locked up. So, a lot of teamwork will go into this and trying to maximize, Sergio Perez's, maximum points for Sunday and try and
so
he's gonna look this up again.
He's asking on Google what's the average pass for the lead. So Ferrari is the only constructor that can take down Red Bull.
Yeah, everybody else is too far behind. It's been a Ferrari Red Bull season.
I love the pit stops at F1 though. Love watching those. That is fast, lightning tire changes on those F1 cars. That's the coolest part about it, as far as I'm concerned.
You know what's funny? I asked the question to my phone, what's the average?
What did it say?
It says the main reason for the lack of overtaking in the car's advanced aerodynamics. And it goes on and on about dirty air, leader releases have been displaced and manipulated so the cars behind cannot make good use of its slipstream and therefore cannot approach the car in front.
But what's the number?
I can't find
They're
it.
giving you all this explanation, but don't they give you the number?
18.1 is what I'm seeing this year, down from 25.7 in years past.
Hold on. Here it is.
Passing for the lead, right?
Average pass for the lead, 1.3.
1.3.
When was that article posted?
March 22, 2022. 1.3.
Well, sometimes we do see, sprint. How is it? There you go. You'll like this one. How is it different than sprint car racing, where sometimes the leader or the guy that starts front row out wins the race? We don't complain about sprint car racing not having passes for the lead if the guy starts on the front row and walks away with it.
Yeah, but
because
here's
the racing from behind the leader is entertaining.
Here's the big difference. When you go into talking about an F1 race, I mean, Max Verstappen is likely to win that race tomorrow. Am I wrong about that?
What's that?
He's gonna win.
Much.
He's gonna win.
There is a
Max Verstappen is gonna win that race tomorrow.
Yes, there's a very good chance. And coming into this year, they followed along with NASCAR in redesigning their car, and it cleaned up a lot of the dirty air behind the car. So the racing has been closer throughout majority of the field. But it's no different than what we're seeing in Cup racing at the start of the year. Some teams have the budget and have the technology to figure out how to make these new cars work, and that's what we've seen in Red Bull. I mean, they spent a lot. They have a lot of money to spend. They sell a lot of energy drinks, and they're
so
probably.
You're trying to say that NASCAR doesn't pass as much as Formula One?
No, that's not what I just said. Now, the race at the Roval, I bet you the F1 had more passes for the lead than the Roval race, but that's one race out of 36.
But I didn't go into the Roval weekend knowing who was going to. I had no idea who was going to win that race. And the same for this weekend in Homestead. I don't have a clue who's going to win that race. But on the other hand, these F1 races, you know pretty much who's going to win unless something happens to him, and that's Max Verstappen. It used to be Lewis Hamilton was that guy. So we don't have enough guys that you feel like you go into an F1 weekend who have a chance of winning. That's the big problem.
Yeah, and I mean you're right, and it's
passes for the lead was there at the Charlotte.
There weren't many passes for the lead at Charlotte.
You look at Formula One, and you look at NASCAR.
Yeah,
there's a lot more money in it, and you're seeing with F1 select teams prevail. At least with NASCAR, they can't. It's like buying a kit car, putting it together, and you have a little bit of engineering that goes in it. F1, you're building everything from scratch, pretty much, and it's all developed, and it's a money sport.
Hold on a second. You said everything is built from scratch in Formula One?
It pretty much is. Everybody develops their own wings, their own components, their own. I'm pretty sure the bodywork, some of that stuff is the same. Not every car is the same length. I mean,
the electronics in those cars, they can't be all custom built, are they?
Well, 90% of the car is custom, but I mean the motor's all. I mean the dash is all custom built to the team. The engine components are all custom built. I mean I'm going to say 90% of the car is custom built.
My big problem with F1 is that I want to feel like I go into a weekend and have no idea who's going to win. And you've got a couple of manufacturers, constructors they call them, in F1 that have a chance of winning these races. Those other teams don't have a shot.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer is to all of that. There probably isn't an answer, but that's my big problem as a race fan.
There's a pretty good answer, and it's what NASCAR did, and that's getting everybody to pretty much have the same equipment. Because if I have a budget of, let's say, $1 million, and I'm going against Red Bull that has a budget of $10 million, who's going to win the race?
The guy with
$10 million.
$10 million.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So and how can we fix that? You either have them run the same parts where you're not your budget's different, or you're not spending a lot of money in aero engineering or your car engineering, and it's just taking a page out of that, as much as the sports are very much different, a page out of their book. Only way I think you could fix it.
But it's a different form of motorsports, and the technology is probably the coolest part about it. It's just that as a race fan, you go into the weekend, you kind of like to not have any idea who's going to win. The guy that normally qualifies the best, starts up front, is probably going to win the race. in F1. 9 times out of 10, that's the way it is.
I'm trying to find how many leaders there were at the Roval.
That wasn't a very good race until the very end.
Yeah, until
Let's be honest, there was a lot of drama at the end, but most of that race was not very compelling.
Yeah, until a piece of cardboard changed the complexion of the race.
Yeah, that's true.
Stage 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In stage 1, it says that there was 10 different leaders.
Now, you have to account for the guys that pitted early at the end of the stage. So you had cars crossing the line as they were rolling through the pits, declaring them as the leader.
I'm just telling you what it says.
But it gets back to, would you $3,500 to go watch a race going in where you have a pretty good idea and probably know who's going to win unless he has trouble?
10 leaders in stage 2.
Let's be honest. Max Verstappen is going to win tomorrow unless he has problems. Am I wrong about that?
Very good possibility. And I wouldn't mind seeing that.
All right.
You're a Red Bull fan.
I am.
Team Red Bull is your team?
Yes.
What's happened to Lewis Hamilton? It's just because the Williams team is not. He drives for
Mercedes.
They
just don't. They don't have. They've had. They aren't spending the same amount of money as Red Bull is, and they might be pretty close, maybe, but they just don't have the car that can compete. And Lewis is one of the best in the past decade, I guess you could say. But everybody thinks he's a great driver, and he has talent. But in this sport, if you don't have a good car, you're not going to succeed, and that's finally coming to the surface.
The other cool thing about F1, I do kind of like watching, is these massive number of engineers that all sit in rows in front of all this technology and equipment. How many guys per team do they have?
A lot.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of cool to see. You don't see that everywhere, but just a massive amount of engineers for each of these cars.
There's probably eight guys on the pit box, your pit crew guys, back, inside the garage. They have people from the shop back wherever they're located and over, in Europe, wherever they're at in Europe, managing stuff back at the home base. There's another support trailer behind the garage where, teams are. So I'm not sure the exact number, but I'm going to say over 50 to 100 people are involved in making that car go around the track.
And what do they all do? They all have specific jobs they do, but
I can't tell you what they do. They do a lot. I mean, they pretty much run the car besides the driver. Software updates to the car, throughout the race. If something fails, they've had issues with cars not shifting, need to come through and do an update. Guy who takes care of, that does his job, fixes it, and he's back going again. Or it's a very it's a unique sport. Yes, it's very money driven like anything else, but you can have a certain appreciation for what it takes to succeed in that sport and just the history behind it, the big thing.
Well, if you have to pay $3,500 for a seat on the front straightaway,
you don't have to. You can pay $200.
No,
for a front street seat, you're going to have to pay a lot of money.
$3,500 if you want a seat on the front straightaway.
If you just want a roaming grand,
hold on, you can buy a ticket to the Super Bowl for that much.
But I can get you in for $40 though, if you want to get in.
$200.
Huh?
I found StubHub's got some for $39.95.
Oh, they do?
So
where for Formula One race?
Yeah, I mean if you just want to
get in. That's come down
in,
because it was like $200 yesterday.
Guess what? The race is this weekend. I mean, it is what it is. You start cutting prices when it gets closer to race day. But I found two for $2,000. and then I found from all the way from 2000 all the way down to 39. So I mean,
I'd like to go to one of those races sometime, but I'll pay the cheapest ticket just to get in.
Junior says, let's be honest, boys. F1 is the most popular motorsports in the world, and they are coming for the American fans and sponsor dollars.
And
perhaps
why are
they have something figured out.
Why are they so popular?
It's just like soccer's popular. It's just it's a national, international sport. That's what the international people follow, and we only look past the bridge of our nose here in America sometimes, and that's just, I mean, that is what it is. But if you only, if you're not, I don't follow soccer, but I'm not stupid enough to know that it's the world's most popular sport, and it's taken over all of Kansas City at this point. They're building major soccer stadiums all over this place.
Because we got part of the World Cup coming here.
Yeah, the World Cup coming here. We have 2 professional soccer teams. Patrick Mahomes' wife owns part of the female soccer team. That's the new stadium is being built down here in River Park, down here by the old Red X. It's going to be overlooking downtown. This place, we're old. We're old people. We have gray hair in our hair. People like Austin and these kids, that's a different gig. They're watching different things. They're streaming different things. Our time is done. We can pretend like we're here and running things, but 18-year-old kids are running the world now. They're adults, and things are changing. We can pretend like it ain't, but it's happening before your eyes.
Next year, there's going to be not 1, not 2, but 3 Formula One races in the United States next year.
All I know is who's running Racing Boys. That's all I know.
Yeah, we're kind of old school, Scott.
Well, that's all right.
I don't get it, but hey, I'm always interested. I'll watch that race tomorrow.
Like you said, I'll watch a couple skateboard guys racing if they're racing. I don't care. I watch a race.
Right.
I mean, I'm a race.
I'll watch it.
I watch these goobers racing.
I'll be up at US 36 watching some dirt late model racing.
I'll be doing that too.
Yeah.
So, thanks for your input, Austin. I know how much you love the F1. I'm not quite there like you are, but.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I was not a fan of it until the Netflix series came out, and that's how do you want to get into the American market? What do Americans do? They go home and watch Netflix, and
we need an American driver in that series, do we not?
Yeah, there's a possibility you might get another American team here, hopefully within a year or two.
With an American driver?
To be honest with you, that's kind of the turn off to me a little bit.
No Americans.
No, I thought it was for the passes for the lead.
And that.
Pick one.
There's not enough passing for the lead, and there's no American drivers in it. Come on. At least get an American driver in Formula One. Right? Why not? You can't tell me that there's not one American driver capable of driving a Formula One car.
Oh, they're all very capable. They don't have enough money.
I'll be watching that pre-race show tomorrow because when
why don't one of the Formula One teams take a chance on one of these American drivers then?
They don't think they're good enough, apparently. Or they don't bring the money. You got to have money, right?
I'm just saying.
Hey, one thing I'll be watching is that pre-race show because
Formula One's kind of anti-American.
Right. The pre-race show at Miami.
So you know.
Earlier I wouldn't go that far. I mean, we have 3 races and they're adding more. So,
who's the only American team over there? Haas.
Yes. But no American driver.
One American team out of this entire country.
But
that's not F1's choice to have American teams. They don't choose who your team is. All they care is if you can bring money to the sport to have a team and you have enough money to keep it going, you're more than welcome to join.
If they're going to want to charge people $3,500 for a ticket for the front straightaway, then they need to get more American teams involved in Formula One. Period.
In March, was it? They had the race down at Miami?
May.
It was in May?
Yes.
The pre-race show, and I'll be looking in just to see what kind of mistakes
Do you watch the races for the pre-race show or the race, Kurt?
In this case, the pre-race show is more entertaining than the race itself because what happened was the foreign guy that was doing the
the foreign
pit road
guy
interviews. I don't know who
the
he was.
foreign guy.
I'm not sure who he was. He walked up and thought he was talking to Patrick Mahomes, and it was not Patrick Mahomes. It was the basketball player from North Carolina. I'm sorry. I guess you're not Patrick Mahomes, are you?
What are you trying to say? That they're not studious enough?
They didn't know who Patrick Mahomes was.
Right.
They thought they knew, but they didn't. So I'm going to be looking in to see what other mistakes they make with the pit road interviews that they do.
All right. Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
Another track.
That's the only time we'll be talking about F1, right?
If I have anything to do with it.
We're only talking about it because it's in Texas this weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Enough said about Formula One. All right. Don't forget, folks, every Monday through Friday, we do Mostly Motorsports. It's brought to you by Lucas Oil Products as well. It works. We start at 12 noon Central Time. On Mondays and Fridays, Kirk sits in with us. We talk about what happens coming off of the weekend on Monday and what's going to happen during the weekend on Fridays. And then we have guests on in between those days as well. Kirk, I always appreciate you coming in.
And Austin will give us the wrap-up of the F1 race on Monday.
Oh, yeah. That's maybe I just need to walk out of the room when that happens.
No.
Why don't we do that for the whole show?
You want me to walk out of the whole show? Then you won't be getting paid, Austin.
No, we're gonna
if I'm not here, you're not getting paid. You see how that works?
All our listeners will be chased away.
You see how that works? If I'm not doing a podcast every day, you're not getting paid. What do you think about that?
Well, that's going to cause an issue if that ever happens.
Right. I mean, you like getting paid here, don't you?
Yeah.
Money's money.
Money's money, right?
Well, anyway, we enjoy talking with you about the F1 there, Austin.
Yeah, you do.
Hey, I'm interested in all kinds of racing. I am.
I'm just interested in dirt racing. I do like pavement racing.
Well, you're a pavement guy.
But
you were a pavement racer.
I still like watching a good portion of some late model racing on pavement. Yeah, I don't mind watching modified racing on pavement. I like it. Featherlight Modified Series, I like watching that on pavement as well. I like watching what's the track out there out east? Bowman Gray. Love watching
Bowman
that.
Gray Stadium.
Yeah.
Austin likes watching that.
Yeah, I love watching that. Yeah.
And I'm going to be at the dirt track tonight. I'm going to Lakeside, and tomorrow night at US 36.
You're going to go to Lakeside night. Watch your nephew run, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right. I might watch it right here in the studio. All right, well, thanks, folks, for tuning in to the show again today, and we want to thank Lee Spencer for joining us as well. Want to thank Austin for putting the sound together, for Blake Hahn, Steve Post, Lance DeWeese, and I'm sorry we didn't end up using that Dennis Erb Jr. Todd, I know you put that together there at the last minute for us, so I appreciate that as well.
It's all good.
Anyway, so it's all been brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. For Austin O'Neill, for Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you Monday, 12 noon Central Time on Mostly Motorsports.
Track Talk.
There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.